Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dribbz Talks Podcast. We're bringing it to you real, raw and uncut. A safe place where we can talk about anything and everything. So like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, keep it locked. Everything's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just take one step at a time. That's what the leaflets say.
This is IC3, and you're listening to the Dribbz Talks Podcast. Keep it locked.
Yes, people, welcome back to another episode of Dribbz Talks, the podcast where we look at society's most talented people, hunt them down and bring them into the hot seat to learn about their journey. Now today, I've got a man who's not just gifted for his versatile flows on one genre of music, but my man adapts his style to a range of genres. And when this man features on the track, you know it's gonna be fire. His name's Natty D. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you, bro. I'm very happy to be here. Big up Dribbz, man. Thanks for having me.
Come on, did you like that little intro, mate?
I loved it. I like
to nice up the guests before I go in. Do you know what I mean?
You know, it felt like you're a boxer and you're coming out to the ring and you got the announcer and he's announcing, you know.
Yeah, man.
That's how it felt, man.
I'm just missing my suit, bro. You good today, yeah?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Ready for this?
Ready, bro. Ready, man.
Wicked. Okay, so let's jump into it now. Although I'm keen to jump in full force with everything that you've been up to recently,
yeah, man.
As with most of my guests, I like to take things way back, bro, way back to the start. So growing up, was you born into a musical household?
I was, very much so, bro. So my dad is a guitarist. I say is, more probably was. He used to play at a festival called Exodus. Now this was like a free kind of party festival back in the day in Luton. He used to play in like a reggae band. He used to chop the guitar, and that was kind of my earliest intro into music, but also into reggae music. You know, he showed me artists like Bob. Obviously everyone knows a bit about Marley, but he showed me loads of Bob, loads of Iny Kamosi, Dennis Brown, all these old school reggae artists, and that was the introduction to the world of music, really. And it wasn't just reggae. My dad played a lot of folk, a lot of rock. There was times when I was a kid, I remember this, so like I would have fell asleep downstairs on the sofa and I'll wake up, God knows what time it is, but my dad's there in the corner is recording something off the radio, back when you could record with the tapes and whatnot.
Put a bit of sellotape over the top and that, you know the one.
Score.
I'm from that era, mate.
There you go. And I just wake up to it and it'd be recording. It would be something like a techno show on Radio 1 or a jungle show. So I've got these really vague memories back in the day of waking up and hearing this music and being like, what the hell is this? So that was probably my first introduction to electronic music as well.
How old do you think you was back then, bro?
Bloody yeah, I could have been anything from 4, 5, 6. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not really knowing what the music is, but knowing it's cool, man. I'm thinking, yeah, I like this stuff. I like this. So yeah, man. From when I was really young, music was a very important part of my life, man. And then as I got older, my older brother, as you do, you know, your older siblings influence you, and he started to like rap and such like that. So I wanted to be a rapper just like him. You know, you want to do what your big brother does.
100%. So we'll move on to kind of the progression with it. Like you mentioned that your dad played guitar. Did you ever go to see him live in bands and that?
Nah, because by the time he kind of stopped playing it, I was older. So he played more when I was younger. I never really got to see him play at these festivals and whatnot. So that was a shame. But I'd always see him jam around the house with his friends and whatnot. And you know, he taught me a bit of the guitar when I was 10.
Yeah.
The problem was, you know, I got older and thought I didn't need the guitar anymore. You know, rapping's cool, and I put the guitar down and kind of regret it. I can't lie, because I'd love to pick it up again. You know
100%,
what I mean? But
yeah.
Nothing's impossible. You know what I mean?
Nah,
I can pick it up and do that again, man.
100%. So overall, then, throughout your childhood, was you a good kid, bro?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part,
yeah,
100% for the most part, I was a good kid. I mean, it was just certain people I'd hang around with or certain influences. Can't lie, I was probably easily influenced as a kid. You know, let's do this, let's go here, let's mess around. So yeah, and in school days, you know, you'd have times when you're not so good in school, but when it comes to the foundations of it and being, you know, polite and using your manners, yeah, man, I was about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Was there anything that you aspired to be when you were younger?
You know what? It's crazy. When I was younger, for some reason, I wanted to be a scientist. I have no idea why. It's that whole potions and creating stuff. Maybe that's why it's took me on this path of making music, because it's a creative process.
Yeah, man.
But I always wanted to be a scientist. And then as I got a bit older, I thought I want to do something in, live shows or maybe performing arts. Started doing drama in school and stuff. But yeah, I always knew music had an important part in my life. So yeah, it turned from being a scientist to a junglist, if you want to call it that.
One extreme to the other, man.
You get me.
Was there anything that was there any one particular that you looked up to growing up that had like a big impact in your life?
Wow. I always just looked up to my family, in all fairness. I mean, there was artists, you used to look up to. As I got a bit older, I used to listen to my rap. I used to love people like, Ludacris, Tupac, Biggie, 50 Cent. Loads of hip hop and that, man.
I was a mad Tupac fan, bro.
Man.
Honestly, I've got all the as a youth, I had all the albums, posters on my wall, all the films, Gridlocked Above the Rim, Poetic Justice is my all-time favorite film.
Big
Tupac
film,
and Janet Jackson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big Tupac fan. And do you know what? It's mad. The lyrics that he used to speak about. I mean, he died in '96, didn't he? Way back then, they're still applicable now.
Yeah.
So it's what I call timeless tracks, bro.
100%.
You can play them now in 2025 and they're still relevant.
And years to come, they will be as well. Even more years down the line.
That's special, bro.
100%.
You know what I mean?
People like Tupac, people like Bob Marley, they are what would you call revolutionaries? Their words and the way they conduct themselves. It's I love Biggie, but Biggie was very cool with it. I'm not saying Tupac ain't get cause Tupac was gangster, but Tupac had a voice for the streets as well, and for the youths and for the people with oppression. And same with Bob, whereas as much as I love Biggie and all these other rappers, they were very much in the streets and talking about style and the materialistic things, which still is cool. But yeah, man, Tupac, he had that way of talking and jumping on tracks which would just resonate with a lot of people,
and he was like Bob as well. They cover a lot of political stuff, wouldn't they?
Exactly, man.
Do you know what I mean? Which is mad important. But I think in hindsight, especially with Tupac, there was a lot of the government and that they knew all about with the stuff that he was spitting, and I don't think they were too pleased with that. Do you know what I mean?
Not at all, man. Not at all.
He was outing a lot of people, wasn't he?
That's it, man. And I think you got to be brave to do that.
100%.
You got to be brave, man.
100%. So going back to you as a youth, was you fairly academic?
Fairly, yeah, man. I used to be good at my, English and easy with my maths and stuff. I used to go in and learning stuff, but I was always into my art. I guess, again, it's another creative thing. The old academic side, writing stuff down and doing, times tables and such. It wasn't really for me, but I knew how to do it. I knew how to, the basics of it really. That was all good. But it was just something a bit more that I needed to do. So art, that's why I love science, I think, because it was more practical.
Yeah, man.
Getting your hands on and doing stuff like that, it's 100%. More interesting, you know what I mean?
Did you have any particular hobbies that you enjoyed doing as a youth?
Yeah, man, wow. I love playing football. I used to love my sport, man. I loved it so much, man. I used to love doing football. I used to love doing drawing and graphing. Quite a few things. A bit of cooking and stuff like that. I used to watch my mum cook and stuff, and them important life skills which are fun as well, you know what I mean? So a few things, man.
I like to touch on these kind of early days because I think it's really important because it gives my listeners an overall idea of how you've got to where you are and how you're shaped as a person today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I think it's important to touch on them early days.
Definitely.
Now, growing up in Birmingham, the city that's always on the go. I was going to say the city that never sleeps, but they refer that to as London. But Birmingham never sleeps as well, man. Come on, you have to look at the raves to know they go on till silly o'clock.
Yeah, of course.
Was there many bad influences around your area which had an impact on you as a youth?
Yeah, 100%. So being born in Borsalleaf, if you know Birmingham and you know Borsalleaf, then you know what it's about. A very very rebellious place, really. Multicultural in its sense, but very rough and ready. Now, when we was younger, our house got burgled. And we moved out that area not too long after. So it was very hostile, living in what some people would class as a ghetto, essentially, and being around, going out and stuff, making sure. My mum was like, you when you go out, you can't be out after this time, which is funny because you hear your mum say it all the time, but when you live in an area like that, as I got older, I could see why she didn't want me out so late, you know what I mean? And and other things, when you're from these kind of areas and you're put in positions around these kind of people, you will hear some negative stuff, or you will hear cursing, or you will hear, you know, bad language and stuff like that. I guess it's natural for anyone to hear these kind of things growing up. But in Borsaleve, it was like the Wild West. I can't lie, man. It was mad. Till we moved out, went to Acox Green, and it was much more calmer there. Changed school, and yeah, life was moving differently, man. But I think we needed to kind of get out of that area after experiencing the whole burglary and
yeah, man. Know. Do you think that place taught you real life living?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I was only there till I was about 9. But it gives you insight on how life really is, especially for some people. You know, some people are like wrapped up in cotton wool. They don't see this life. But yeah, man, we lived it. You know what I mean? And I know my brother must have got into some situations here and there. You know what I mean? Because he was the older one and he was going out at these times when he was a teenager. I wasn't a teenager going out. I was only a kid. But he saw a lot, man. So yeah, man, very glad we've progressed and moved out.
This is what gets me, Natty. Like, it's like, you know, me and Monchi often talk about this. You got like these youth from like this beautiful countryside of Shropshire walking around like they're from the ends. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, like if we picked you up and put you into some of them rough estates in Birmingham, London, and forwards, you know what I mean? They crawl up their own arse. Exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy, man.
It is. Now, can you recall a particular moment that occurred growing up that may have shaped you as a person or kind of changed your views on anything?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I guess there's many situations in my life that's kind of changed me. So,
is there any one you can just fire off?
I think probably when my dad and mum kind of split up. You know, that was a time when it was difficult because you kind of have to go off your own understanding and, you know, your own understanding of your parents, but also, you know, you're getting older now. I think at this point I was about 15, 16. You know, it's an important part of your life. You're kind of transitioning into an adult. And that situation there, it was hard for me. It was harder for my younger brother, but it kind of, you know, it makes everything more difficult within your family. So that point for me, it really did change. You know, I really thought, what do I want to do with my life? And I think at that point I was just come out of school and going into college. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. Doing a bit of music production here and there. Went to college. Big up KJR, who I've made tunes with. He was my tutor. But at that point, yeah, it kind of really pushed me into the thinking of, all right, I've got to do something now with my life. You know what I mean? And I think that was it, really.
I think it's mad. Like, my daughter's 16 now, and like the pressure they put on these kids from early, like, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do? Bro, I'm 37 and I still don't know.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
That's
so
it,
to
man.
put it on a 14, 13, 15-year-old child, what do you want to do with your life? You need to set your foundations to build up for the rest of your life.
Yep.
That's a big lot of pressure, bro.
It's huge.
Do you know what I mean? When I'm saying to you that I'm 37 and still don't fully know what I want to do with my life.
That's it.
It's crazy, man.
It's mad. I don't think a lot of people really do, unless they're tied into their jobs for a long time. They've got mortgages, they've got a car to pay for, they've got all this on their head. Then I can understand, yeah, that's what you're doing with your life. But a lot of people, I know it, I feel it. Even if they are doing that in their life, it's probably not what they want to do. And I'm in a position now where I'm fortunate to say, yeah, I really enjoy what I do, and I can earn somewhat of a living off it. But it's not easy, and I don't think anything in life, if it's easy, is really worth it as such. But yeah, man, even at my age now, I'm 31, nearly 32, and I love what I'm doing, making the tunes, doing gigs, working in a band and stuff. But it's difficult, man, and it's real tough, man, and you've got to be prepared for it. You got to be ready for it. And, you know, like you said, at your age now, you still don't know what you want to do. Something could happen for me next year, and it could completely change the course of what I'm doing in my life.
This is what I'm
you know
saying.
What I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
mad. It's mad.
Yeah, this is it, bro. Like an example of that, and I've mentioned this in previous podcasts. So if my listeners have heard this, I'm sorry, but I want to tell you directly. Like, obviously, I was a special needs teaching assistant for 15 years, bro, and like my mental health was deteriorating. So, it was getting to the point where it was getting lower and lower, and I just knew I had to get out now. You know what I mean? And my wife was like, "What do you want to do now? Like, now you're leaving your job. You're not leaving your job to go to another place. You're leaving your job to be jobless, effectively. What do you want to do with yourself?" And I'm like, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to work with the youth. I want to come into schools and I want to kind of have my experience of growing up and the things that I went through as a child, and I want to help other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did my gig in Donington in Telford, hip hop. Did my album on stage with like my local people. There was a company watching, bro, and she just this lady was like, "You didn't even know I was here, but I've just been watching your tracks and the deepness of your lyrics and stuff and how you kind of present them." She said, "We're going into school soon and we want you to come with us."
Wow.
Now, if I hadn't have quit my job, Natty, then I would have gone, I haven't got the time to do that. I work Monday to Friday, 9 till 3. I haven't got the time to do that. But from leaving my job, I'm now going to be doing this.
Yeah.
And it's not a permanent thing, bro. It's not like it's a regular thing. But yeah, like prior to leaving my job, that opportunity wasn't there for me.
Of course.
So I generally think things happen for a reason. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 110%, man. I'm behind that fully, man. Exactly the same. I left my job, but bloody hell, what year was it now? We're in 2025. Around 2022 or 2021.
It's a scary thing to do as well, bro. Do you know what I mean? You don't do it easily, do you?
Not at all. And the thing is, I've had people say, did you make the right move? And I'm like, well, I mean, if, you know what I mean? I mean, what is the right move? Because who knows what I'm going to be doing tomorrow? Who knows what I'm going to be doing? But since I have left, I mean, things have been going great. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, yeah, it's difficult, but nothing in life, if it's worth it, is going to be easy. But yeah, man, I'm all for that. And, you know, anyone that has left their job, who's listening and is thinking, you know, what am I going to do with my life? Well, there was a reason you left that job. You must feel that there's something more for you, you know what I mean? And
100%.
If so, then, you know, don't worry too much, man.
100%, yeah, that's some sterling advice, man, for sure. So, going back to you as a youth, at what age did you first start putting pen to paper and writing lyrics?
Wow, that's a great question, man.
I'm digging deep with these lyrics, these questions, bro.
I love this one, man. I love this. So I got a shout out my cousin, Izzy.
Big up Izzy.
Big up Izzy, man. ID. We were writing stuff from when we was like 9, 10, 11, around that age. You know, yeah, I mean, I wish I could do a little a recital of the bars, but I don't even think I can remember them. They're that old. But yeah, we used to write stuff on paper together. And looking back at it, you think, wow, this is coming from a 10-year-old. Like, of course it was utter nonsense. You know, you're chatting about driving Lamborghinis and doing this and that, and you've got, you know, 20,000 hot women around your side. It's all nonsense. But as a 10-year-old, you're trying to rap. It's that is the start of the journey. And it was with my cousin that we done it. My cousin and my older brother Jay. We those were the two, you know, inspirations for me when I was getting into my writing back in the day, along with all the rappers that we used to listen to. But yeah, man, so early as 10, bro.
Wow. So that's right into hip hop, right?
Yeah.
So
man, yeah.
Here's another question you're gonna dig deep for, bro. At what age, roughly, did you find a love for rave music? I'm gonna go with rave music. I mean, I'm guessing it was like early jungle. I mean, I don't know if you touched the acid house. I guess that was like way before, because it was before me, bro. Do you know what I mean? And you were younger than me. But at what age did you find like a love for rave music on a whole?
Well, it's funny that you said the whole acid house thing, because back to the question earlier when I heard my dad tape stuff. You know, it was some similar to them, along them lines. You know, it weren't just jungle drum and bass. Sometimes it was techno, sometimes it was acid, sometimes it was even hardcore in the 90s and whatnot. But my earliest kind of like love for it and introduction to it was I was about 15. So I don't recommend any 15-year-olds going to Custard Factory now. Well, you won't get in there because it's closed now. Yeah. But back in the day, man, 2008 or something like that.
Iconic venue.
Absolutely. That was my first night there, and I met a girl in town. It was over in, do you know Bian's bar up in Bayardi? What it was?
Okay.
And we went to the Custard Factory together, and I've got in, don't know how, and my brother was there, because again he was the one who showed me about all this kind of music and rave music, as well as my dad. He was DJing out and stuff like that, as well as going to the clubs. And I saw him, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "What do you mean? I'm allowed to be here. You're not even old enough to be here." First and foremost, so I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm here." And that was my first intro to a night. I think it was a Valve night as well. So one of my first nights was a Valve night, and it was popping off, man. It was popping off in Custard Factory. The sound system, it was amazing, man. And that was like my first introduction to going out to rave with like bass music and rave music, you know.
So with like the love for the rave music, like. You know, my question to you next is, was there a particular like mix or a set or a moment that really made you fall in love? But I guess it was more of a progression of a lot of things. Like you said, your dad listening to it early days and then attending that rave, innit? Does that kind of all come together and where you give that love for the music, yeah?
100%. But also, there's a great point there, is my brother used to bring back CD packs, or tape packs. I was a bit too young for them. but in the 2000s he'd bring back CD packs, and there was one he'd bring back. I think it was a birthday bash. It might have been a birthday bash. Might have been a birthday bash in Birmingham. Bassman's birthday bash. He used to bring back some CDs, and then there was one particular mix, Kenny Ken and the Ragga Twins.
Come on.
And there was also another one, big up Dribbz and Juice Man, and those two sets there I used to have on repeat on the hi-fi at home.
Dribbz was a bad man.
Absolute bad man.
3D mode,
you know
like
it.
acapella. Yeah, man, I know all them boys. We used to do the rounds with them, back in the day. But Dribbz and his production, next level, bro.
Absolutely,
next
man.
level. Who was, like, back when you first got into the scene? I'm not talking performing, I'm talking raving. Who was the first? Who were the DJs and the MCs that, off the top of your head, was smashing it back then?
Wow.
Are we talking like, because I'm talking like with the up and comers, I'm talking like, was it like CKB and General C, I think his name was, the MC for CKB. Obviously you mentioned Dribbz. Can you just name drop a couple of others that were smashing it back then?
But back then for me, well, yeah, man, Juice Man was smashing it in terms of MCs. We had Shady, of course, I've already named, like Ragga Twins and such like that, listening to a few Randall mixes back in the day. But yeah, I think just mainly that CD pack that he brought back, that was the one that inspired me. So I got a big up Dribbz, I got a big up Kenny Ken. Yeah, man, those were the ones, man. Of course, Dillinger. I heard a few sets from DJ Psy. There was loads of them, but that one in particular, man, DJ Dribbz and Juice Man, was the one for me. And it was crazy because we got to book them as well. So it was like it was coming around full circle. I used to listen to these like 15 years ago, and now they're playing at my birthday bash.
Love that. Man, and I always say, Natty, like if a DJ or an MC or any form of like music producer has made an impact on the start of your journey, fucking tell them, man.
Yeah.
If you see them, tell them. I'm sure they're used to it, but it's always nice to hear that. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, man. Definitely.
It's always nice to hear that. A lot of my lads go, don't bother the headliners. They don't want to be bothered. I'm up there, bro.
Yeah, same.
Like Randall, just before he passed, like we seen him at Subvert in Shrewsbury a couple of months before he passed, and yeah, man, I went up to him after he finished his set, and I was like, bro, like, back in the day, like the Asteria tape packs and all that, like we'd open the pack and we'd always know that Randall's was going to be a certified banger. Do you know what I mean? He'd always pull it out. You'd know that was going to be a banger. Yeah. And he loved that. And I was like, I said, you had a big impact on my early raving days. And the smile on his face, man, was just like, he loved that, bro. He loved that.
Yeah, man, it's priceless. Because I've done it myself. I've went to produce. I've been like, this tune or this set from this, and they're like, what? As if you remember that. I'm like, yeah, man, I can't forget that. How can I forget that?
Exactly.
Know what I mean?
Now, for me and many others that I know, you never forget your first raving experience. Now, like you mentioned that Valve rave, how did it feel to step into this kind of environment? I mean, firstly, do you remember what the promotion was called of that evening?
Wow, I couldn't tell you, man.
No, that's
literally,
fine,
as a 15-year-old, I didn't even know what I was stepping into. You know what I mean? Didn't know what I was
how did it feel
into.
then when you first kind of soaked up the vibe and stepped in there? Because it's totally like foreign to you, innit? Do you know what I mean? It's the first rave you've been to, and is it? Did you absorb the atmosphere?
Absolutely, it was immense. It was really immense, man. Just the scale of it, I mean, if you've been in the custard, you know what it's like. You have the little med bar and then that main room to the side. It's just somewhere else, man. And then to see your family there, it's like the cherry on top, you know what I mean? Seeing my brother just rolling around there and doing his things and speaking to loads of other people, I felt like, yo, come and take me under your wing, man. Introduce me to everyone, you know what I mean? Take me backstage and all that stuff. Yeah, man. Being so young, I was quite naive, but I knew what I'd stepped into was great, man, and I knew I wanted to come back to it, you know what I mean?
See, I kind of got thrown into the deep end, me, bro, because like I was 16, just turned 17 when I got my first raving ticket from Vision Records in Wellington. It's not there no more, but big up Vision. And yeah, I went to Slamming Vinyl for my first ever rave, bro, and like, we had obviously the drum and bass room, you had the Hardcore Till I Die room, you had trance room, and just to walk through all them different arenas, bro, and like in the Hardcore Till I Die room, you got the inflatables hanging from the ceiling, and everyone's fist bumping you, handshaking you. It just blew me away, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's not amazing. Like I didn't start small. I mean, I'm not saying the Custard Factory is small, because that is an iconic venue, man. They do big raves, but yeah, just being thrown into Slamming Vinyl at 17 years of age, bro, I was like, I got chucked in the deep end there, big time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's it. And just to touch on one more of them, like I said, the production. The first rave I went to, the production that I don't think there was much there to notice. It was more about the sound. But one of the main ones I do remember was Q Club before it closed down. Yeah. Got to go to one of the last flashbacks, and And that was insane. I mean, I don't know if anyone's listening who's been to the not Custard Factory, the Q Club, but you know when they put on the production and they've got everything hanging from the ceilings and the lights. And now that, for me, was probably one of the places that I will never forget. And it's been so, instrumental for me when it comes to raves and going out. I was about 19 then, went with my friends, and it was just one of them I'll never forget, man. And the production was out of this world. And if the first time I really went into the Q Club, and anyone who knows a Q Club, the first time you go in there, you're like, what is this?
Definitely.
It's insane. And yeah, that rave there, I'll probably remember more about that than my first one.
Mm-hmm.
But that in itself, as you just said about the production and stuff like that and the different rooms, that for me was amazing, life changing. I was like, wow, I need to come back here. But then a couple of years later, it's down, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's gone.
Is it. So focusing more on you attending the raves and obviously you performing them, how do you feel that the raves have changed from like back when you first went out to currently?
Wow, that's a good question, man. I feel like a lot, you know, as you get older, the younger generation kind of take it because there's more younger people, isn't there? Like, we was once them younger people doing the raves and being at the raves and whatnot, playing at them. But as you get older, obviously the influx of younger people come in, and I just find like a lot of raves now, unless they're tailored for a more older crowd, the people that are there are very, very young, and a lot of them that are around are very young too. You know, if you go to a popular event, you know, a D&B All Stars event, let's say for example, or a Worried About Henry event, now the demographics for me, they're not going to be of a lot of older people. You might get your 30-year-olds, but I don't think you get more than 40 past that. And it's not a problem. I just feel like, you know, that's changed a lot, the demographics of ravers going out and such. Of course, music changes and styles change. DJs come in and, you know, they're popular and people want to mix like that DJ. So, like, everything changes, you know what I mean? People used to want to mix like Randor, you know, now they want to mix like, you know, Boo. Or they want to mix like this person, which is exactly, bro.
Fake drops,
you know what I'm saying?
Man, I know what you mean. I heard a lad. There was quite a young lad at a rave not so long ago, and he was like, he went up to the headline DJ, and he was like, "Man, I've been listening to you way back in the early TikTok days," and I'm like,
God.
That just goes to show the progression, doesn't it? Because if you're active and big on TikTok in the younger youth, you've made it as a DJ.
Yep,
100%. It ain't, you know, it ain't about all the graft that people have put in way back with pirate radio and coming up in the scene and all that.
That's it.
If they're on TikTok, they're a celebrity, 100. And that shows the progression, doesn't it?
That's it, man. It's a shame because I know we both know DJs that have been doing this now, wow, since the 90s, and they still haven't got the flowers and probably won't. And you know, and I know a lot of DJs that do that are happy because they love the underground, they love what they do, they don't want to be a TikTok DJ, and that's fine. But yeah, like you said, man, it's a whole different validation of you've made it. You know, if you're a TikTok DJ, got X amount of followers and you've made it, and I just feel like, of course, it's wrong, but that's where we're at now. Like, and the younger generation kind of taking over, and you know, and also a lot of DJs have been made famous through social media, through TikTok, through Instagram.
You got that? Is it Fish
56? Yeah,
he's everywhere, bro.
Absolutely everywhere. When I first saw him in his dressing gown, just mixing tunes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and now he's blue.
It's mad. And there's no disrespect.
No, man.
Wicked. But it just goes to show how, you know, back in the day, how you'd make it or how you'd step up on stage and mix is completely different to now.
It is, man. It took me a while to adapt because, like, you know, me and Monchi came through on the pirate radio scene with a Nokia 402 and all that stuff, like in the studio and that little shitty heater, and we were in tower blocks in Wolverhampton, and like crack dens and anywhere just to get our sound out there, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anywhere, like, you know, we go to some dodgy areas just to get our sound out there, and like, the way we would approach promoters, it wouldn't be dropping them a Mixcloud link through socials.
No.
It would be recording a set on tape, bro, and taking it to the rave with our mobile number typed on it. Do you know what I mean? That's how it used to be.
That's it.
So to sell my soul to the new social media front and like Spotify and all that stuff, it took me a while to adapt. Natty ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Man,
Whereas the new lot, they just slot straight into it.
Yo, this is DJ Fantasy, and you're locked into the Dribbz Talks Podcast, only available on Spotify or YouTube. Go listen to that shizzle now, please.
So moving on to the next part of your journey, which is what everyone knows you for now, and that's becoming an MC and a vocalist. Do you remember how old you were when you got your first booking, and which venue was it?
Wow, yeah. How old was I? First booking, I was around about 21.
Okay.
21, 22. So my first like unofficial booking was when I met the guys from listening session. So I got to big up my bro Goose Sensei every time, man, and Alki and them lot there, man. So first time was Custard Factory again. It was at the Med Bar, man, and it was a marquee night. And went in there with my friends, and there was listening sessions in room 2, and people were just jumping on and off the decks, and a couple of people jumping on and off the mic. So I thought, here's my opportunity. Jumped on the mic, and it went off. It was great. My friends were getting some videos. People were loving it. Went back out to the smoking section after I jumped on, and the guy, that was running the thing from listening sessions, big up my bro Goose, he asked me if I wanted to jump on his set at like 2 or whenever it was. So I was like, wow, wicked, yeah man, I'll jump on that set. And that was the first kind of unofficial set I jumped on. But then as I started gaining a bit of momentum through the career, I got asked to jump on a set, a night at Roughneck Ting, which is Daisy from Bristol, and she was doing a night at PST in Birmingham. So she asked us to jump on it. I was absolutely over the moon because, you're getting Daisy, who's had Roughneck Ting since the 90s, asking you to jump on. So that was like my first kind of bit of validation. I'm like, wicked. Got a big up Scant, my mate, who's living in Oz now. We shared a property in Edgbaston with Frenetic as well, big up lots. And he was the one I rolled out with on this Roughneck night. PST, the place was absolutely ramming. I think I got paid about £10, but honestly, literally
buzzing though, wouldn't you?
You know what I mean?
It don't matter getting paid just the bonus part of it.
You get me? And I got it in a little envelope. I felt proper legitimate. You know what I mean? I felt like a proper MC, man. So that was the first one, really.
So how did it feel for you to perform on stage for the first time?
You know what? It was absolutely daunting, man. Because a few times before the official set, getting booked and having my name on the flyer, I'd done little bits of like shows here and there and radio shows at PST. What they used to do at PST was run like a online radio through PST, so you feel like you're on stage doing a set, but it's getting broadcasted around the world. Now a few of these times I'd be facing like the side, my side would be facing to the crowd, or my back would be facing to the crowd, and I'd just be facing the DJ. And then, slowly but surely people would be like, what you doing, man? Face the crowd, you don't want the back turned to him, let them know you're there. So for years it was quite daunting, every set I'd kind of shimmy a bit more to the front until eventually I'm, facing them, wholeheartedly and not worried about it. But the first time, I ain't gonna lie, man, it's daunting. You're trying to put your craft and your talent out there in front of people. Yeah, man, it's a bit nervy, but one thing I always remembered was the more people there, the better it was. Even as a youth, man, it was like the less people there, you struggle. Yeah. The more people there, it's easier, which is crazy. And now I find it, that happens the same these days.
Yeah, man, that's in general. I mean? Yeah, 100%. For a lot of us,
bro. You know what I mean?
Did you come to find that, like, after you'd done your booking, did you come to find that promoters for events would approach you for bookings, or did you have to knock on a few doors? Because we've all had to do it from time to time, knock on these doors, and some doors, and I say this to up and coming MCs that approach me, some doors will shut in your face, and you have to kick them down. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You have to be persistent, relentless, and you have to kick them down.
You do, man.
Did you find that? Like, did you find promoters came to you, or did you have to approach promoters? Because like I said, there ain't no shame in that. We've all done it. We've all jumped in promoters' inboxes going, this is what... You have to sell yourself, man.
100%. And it's a bit of both, I'd say. I can't lie, a bit of both. So, the main one for me, instead of asking or getting into promoters' inboxes, I'd go to the night, and then I'd weigh up my options. I'd look who's on the mic. Do I know them? Is it Chesh? Can I possibly get a little, And if I knew them, I'd ask them. They might even say no, and you might have to just walk away from it, or wait until the other MC goes on and ask him. And a lot of the times, like you said, the door would just shut in your face, and sometimes you just can't break it down. You might have to wait another week, but eventually you will get your moment. And then when that moment does come, you've just got to shine, So a few promoters here and there would ask to book, get me down, when you're still finding, your skill and finding who you are doing it, you'd have to just do it without getting paid or stuff like that, you know what I mean? And just do it to get your name out there, which is cool. But yeah, a lot of it was a bit of both, a bit of promoters reaching out and a bit of me having to reach out, you know what I mean? Man.
Have you always stayed consistent with this MCing, or has there been like a moment where you've took like a year or two off?
I wouldn't say about a year or two. I've took a few months out of MCing, maybe to try and focus on the more recording side of it. or if there's been any like family issues, you know, there's been a bereavement in the family, you know, I took a bit of time out then. But I've tried my hardest to just be as consistent as possible, really, man, ever since I started doing it. So
love that.
What was that, like 21, started getting sets and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just been long ongoing since then. So like 10 years now.
Yeah, man.
10 years.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
So fast forwarding to the present day, you're now a certified drum and bass MC with a flow that's so unique to your style. Let me tell you that. There ain't many that can step to it, mate, in my opinion.
Thank you,
but I want to focus on what attributes you've gained from first picking up a mic to being so many years active within the game. So firstly, I want to ask you, like, this is you know, get your thinking brain on here. Where did the name Natty D come from? Because to me, I know there was originally a Bob Marley album called Natty Dread, and I weren't sure if the Natty D was a tribute to that iconic album or to Bob Marley himself.
Yeah, well, you bang on there, because
come on, am I right?
You're right.
Come on.
You're absolutely bang on. So yeah, mate, in the early days, I took my older brother's pseudonym. He was called Stormer, and he used to write that and like tag it and graph it and stuff like that. And in school, it would be Stormer. You know, people would be like Stormer, and that would be me. But as I got older, I wanted my own identity, and I wanted to like leave that. And as my luck started to grow, and you know, obviously, as I told you earlier, the whole Bob Marley influence, people just call me Natty anyway. You know, my name's Nathan, which not a lot of people know.
I didn't know that, bro.
I know, and I feel, you know, like I've let everyone into a big secret there who listens to this now. But everyone just calls me Natty. My dad called me Natty. My mum called me Natty. So I felt it made sense to have my, you know, artist name as close to my name as possible. So Natty, yeah. And then you're right, Natty Dread. That was my favourite Bob Marley tune as a kid, man. Natty Dread. Used to sing it all the time. Dread, Natty Dread. Now.
Hey.
So I thought, why not have that as my name, Natty D?
Of course, man.
And a lot of people, well, most people don't get it, but the small amount of people like yourself get it straight away, the Natty and the Dread. So yeah, that's where it comes from, man. That's
there you
it,
go.
man. Bob Marley.
It's
yeah, man.
mad, isn't it? Like because I don't know if it's the same with you, but me and Monchi have spoke about this. Like Dribbz, myself, pure alter ego.
Yeah,
It's my mask. It's my boom. You know, it's like it don't matter what stresses I've got in the days, what dramas are going on before stage. When I get that cap on, get the shades on, boom, it's business. Do you know what I mean?
I hear that, man.
And
yeah.
you can bounce around the stage like you ain't got no drama.
Boom.
And it's my alter ego, man. Do you know what I mean? Like Dribbz is the most outgoing, sociable person going. Ad for me is shopping, and I see like my man coming towards me that I know small talk's about to get activated, so I turn the opposite way, bro.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know small talk.
Yeah.
But if you meet me as Dribbz at the rave, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Letting it off, of course.
Would you say Natty is like an alter ego for you, or has it become like?
It's really weird, you know. It's become me. So it's like I can't almost separate the Natty from the Nathan. You know what I mean? It is just Natty now, and it is Natty D, and you know, it's really weird because even when I'm MC, you know, I hear a lot of MCs and artists, they'll almost have like a MC voice or something like that, you know what I mean? And mine doesn't really change too tough. I might put out a bit of patois when I'm MCing, but when I'm talking to the crowd, you know, it won't change. It won't change like that. You know, some people change their voice. Mine will always stay the same. You'll always hear the brummy come out, you know, a bit of patois, but it's me. And I just think sometimes, should I have separated it, you know, and should I have had my alter ego to differentiate between my normal life and my artist life? And I probably should have, but it's too late for that.
There is a lot of these MCs, isn't there, that like, they just instantly put on this like. Have you seen you've seen Corrupt FM with Grindr?
Of course.
They instantly go into Grindr mode. Check 1, check 2,
Easy.
mic check, inside. Oh,
you know, exactly,
yeah,
man.
Get it. So, did you toy with a few MC names before settling for Natty D? Obviously, you mentioned your brother's name that you were going with.
And not really, you know. I think it was just that transition from Stormer to Natty D, and I don't think I look back on it because I didn't want it to be one of them. I know a lot of artists go back and forth with their names, or they're not happy with it, or there might be another artist out there that shares the same name, and you think, all right, what do I need to do to change that? But luckily enough, there's not many other Natty Ds out there, I just kept it as it was.
Yeah,
you know?
That's wicked. Yeah. That's the same with me, really. There ain't many Dribbz out there.
Man.
In fact, there's an old school MC called Dribbz.
Okay.
So it's just like me without the D in it, so
perfect.
it is what it is. But we're on two different paths, let me tell you that.
Yeah,
so for my listeners that may not have heard of you, how would you describe your unique style of being an MC in the scene?
Right, well, great question, man. My unique style, so I've always loved stuff that's skippy and choppy. You know, I always wanted to incorporate that in my music and my flow. So growing up, I loved Grimes and 140 and stuff like that. You know, we used to follow people like Dizzy and Kano, Lethal B, stuff like NODB, you know, grime artists from Birmingham. And a lot of these flows were was skippy, a bit of patois as well, but mainly it was that skippy kind of choppy flow. I always wanted to incorporate that. So as my early stages as an MC, I brought that into it. And then as I started to get more bookings or jump on tunes and such, that skippy style had to kind of be drawn back a bit so people could understand what I'm saying. There's a bit more clarity there. And this is where my inspiration comes from like the Ragga Twins and stuff like that, and Spider, one of my favourite MCs. They've got that swing and they've got that, you know, that offset kind of yard flow. It's from the Caribbean, you know what I mean? And that I started to bring that in to my skippiness, and it kind of amalgamated into this crazy kind of flow. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I can't lie, the first time I'd done it when I was 21, my family are from the Caribbean, but they're from Barbados. Now the patois is different. It's a different kind of lilt, but I was always loved the Jamaican kind of patois behind drum and bass vocals, hence why I love Spider and Ragga Twins so much. So that kind of change, and now I use more that kind of skippier flow will only be brought out in certain tunes, but it's mainly this offset patois kind of ragga, but also gritty kind of style that works really well with a lot of like minimal tunes, a lot of bouncy tunes, man. And people are feeling it, man. So
how do you prepare for a set, Natty? Do you have like a specific routine of lyrics, or do you just freestyle on the night?
It depends, man. It depends how busy I am. If let's say I've got 3 sets in one night, which rarely happens, or 2 sets in one night, I can only prep for it so much. But if I've got like 1 set that I've been prepping for, then I'll ideally, if I haven't been on set for like a few weeks, I'll go through my lyrics again. There's so many lyrics out there, I'm trying to remember them, so I'll run through them. What's really good as well, so release day, I try, not release day, I'm stuck in my label mind now, but on rave day, what I'll try and do is, my lead up to the day, I'll try and look after myself as much as possible. So that means a bit of breath work. If it means press ups, it means going for a walk, just moving my body so I'm not stagnant, you know. Just, you know, moving and making sure I feel okay, eating well, not eating too much, you know, also trying not to drink, you know what I mean? Like when I was younger, I used to drink here and there and everywhere, you know, make sure I had a beer for my rider, but nowadays it's not so much. I just want to water. A lot of artists do it, a lot of artists drink, and maybe it works for them, but as an MC, I know for sure you don't want to be getting drunk. You want to be as composed as possible, because you're talking to a crowd. You could be talking to 500, you could be talking to 50, you could be talking to 1,000. You've got to be 100%. There, you've got to be present, man.
Yeah, the amount of promoters on like riders for me and Monchi, they're like, what do you want? Grey Goose, vodka, and we're just like, no, we're teetotal, bro, just a few bottles of water. What? You're an MC, and that's like, nah, man, you don't have to get shit faced.
You know
what I mean?
Nah.
So we always roll up, and you know, we're not intoxicated at all, and we're on a different level to the ravers. Yeah. And I don't mean that as in we're any higher or above them, but you know, them ravers have been there for many hours, and they're like, you know, in a world of their own. So like, you know, you have to be on your A game, bro.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, bro, they pay to come and see you.
100%.
So what you're gonna do? A shoddy performance? Nah, man. And I hold my hand up high, man. There's been times in my career where I haven't been there, or I have messed up on a performance, or I have possibly even had a bit too much to drink. But those are the times there that you look back on and you're like, all right, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's progression, bro.
Exactly,
it's progression.
Man.
So being an MC myself, the one thing I love, aside from a big crowd, is a DJ that you can catch a vibe with.
Oh, yeah.
And like, we've struggled at times because we've been to certain venues, won't mention promotions, but we've been to certain venues where like, the DJ's nowhere to be seen, bro. As in, like, you're on the ground with the ravers and the DJ's up in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And we struggle with that, man.
Yeah.
It's almost like you MCing on a live, on a mix. Like, I don't mean a live mix with a DJ. I mean like a CD mix. It's hard, man, when you can't see the DJ, because we do love to catch a vibe. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
Do you have a process for building chemistry with a DJ during a live performance?
That's a great question. So I've never really thought about that, but what I'd like to do, what I intend to do, so recently I had a set at, you know, let's say, you know, Subvert, I had a set there, and we played with 2 people I've never played with before, and the whole idea there is to make sure they get a decent introduction, you know, make sure my eyes are on them, and they can tell me. A lot of DJs will tell me if there's vocals coming in. A lot of the time I'll just hear it and I'll just keep stum. But ideally I like to leave it the first few tunes, 2 tunes, 3 tunes, see how they're working their set. Main thing is, as an MC, bigging up your DJ. We got to remember it's a 2-way stream. You know what I mean? It's not just going to be you. It's not about the MC. It's about both of you.
Middleman, innit?
You know what I mean?
Mediator, middleman between the crowd and the DJ.
Exactly.
There's too many MCs there. I think they're stars of the show, bro.
That's it, man. It's
honestly
annoying, man. So yeah, man. The main thing is just first few tunes, just letting it breathe. letting the DJ, listening to the DJ, you know, knowing what they're playing, just setting the tone. And then after the first 3 or 4 tunes, I'll probably start going into some lyrics, go into some bars, get some crowd response going. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, man. But a lot of the time, if it's someone I've worked with before and I know what their set's going to be like, I won't really have to keep looking behind or bigging them up or such like that.
And that means there's chemistry that's active, do you know what I mean? Like
exactly, man.
We'll go to the effort of, like, you know, if we're booked with a DJ that we've never performed with, bro, on the day of the rave, we're straight on Instagram. Yes, DJ, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm Dribbz. If you haven't heard our style yet, here's a mix of us. And do you know what I mean? They get an idea of who they're actually going to be working with. I think it's important, bro.
It really is. Saying that, the last set I did have over in Shrewsbury, the DJ did actually message me saying this is going to be the first tune of my set. So I thought, wow, that's really good. You know what I mean? And a lot of the time, if I am working with someone I haven't worked before, I'll do what you've done. You know, I'll message them and be like, yeah, looking forward to this set. You know, any idea what you're playing? You know, if you're playing vocals, you know, either let me know or just don't chock-a-block the whole set with vocals and stuff like that, just so you got a bit more of an understanding, like you said, you know what I mean? Exactly that. And there's a selection of DJs that they'll just go with the flow, and there's other DJs that they'll go, here's my set, here's exactly what I'm going to be playing. If there's any tracks you want taken out, then let me know. And I'm thinking, I've got no right to tell you what tracks get took out, bro. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, man. You know, it's a bit of a madness. Like, what's been one of the biggest challenges that you've faced in your career as an MC? I guess. Here's one. So everyone, for some reason, everyone seems to be able to MC these days. So like, the crowd wants the mic, the DJ wants the mic, everybody wants the mic. You know, I mean, you know, bro, you're on set, are you going to turn around to the DJ, put your mic down, and then just, hold on a minute, let me just mix a tune in? No way, are you? Exactly. That's the difference, isn't it? Exactly. So why are you going to come and take the mic? And I see it now, a lot of DJs doing their own sets and like shouting down the mic. Whatever, that's up to you, that's your set. But if I'm on set with you, please do not take the mic off me. We're there for a reason, you know? That's one situation I've faced. And, you know, a lot of MCs, I know, have to deal with it. I know it's just part and parcel of being an MC, that you're going to have people come up to you and say, can I ever go? And if not, they're probably either going to get in your face or they're going to try and get it off you, stuff like that. That's one thing that's really, really annoying. And have you found, I don't know if it's the same, I'm sure it is, like with me and Monchi, like as soon as we get into a rave and you've got like, if you're not separate to the ravers, maybe there's a slight barrier, but then you've got the ravers in front of you. I can almost pick out the potential mic grabbers. Of course. Straight away I can spot them, bro. Yep. They do that usual linger. Then they're doing their own lyrics to you in your face while you're doing yours. Then they'll come up to you and the hand will come as if to say, pass us the mic. Yep. You'll go, nah. Then I've had a few walk off, and then their mates come up to me. Oh, give my man a go on the mic. He's great. No. Yeah. Then the missus comes up to me. Give my fella a go on the mic. He's wicked. He's this, he's that. He's done this, he's done that. He's been to prison. Oh, right, okay. Definitely not then. Yeah, I'm not going to get my Shure SM58 back if I give you that. You get me. That's it, bro. Definitely not. Oh, it's a madness, bro. So every DJ and MC throughout their journey performing on stages, they always have a particular memorable moment. Yeah. Something that may have been iconic as a nod to how far they've come, or something that makes all of the hard times climbing that ladder completely worth it. Yeah, can you share one of your most memorable moments that you've had on stage? Wow, I've had a few, man. Wow, I mean, there's one great one from Bolter Festival. Wow, that was amazing. It was like a big sound clash, Rumble in the Jungle. I didn't realise you played Bolter, bro. Yeah, man, I played Bolter, man. It was a few years back now. It's come to an end now, isn't it? It has, yeah. It's the last one this year. It's a shame, man. But that was immense. So that was my first sound clash. I guess that was why it's so memorable. You know, was it Dub Shotter? I think it was Dub Shotter, yeah, versus Rumble, and we was on the Rumble side. I was a resident with Rumble in the Jungle for a bit, not anymore, but yeah, big up to the Rumble guys. That was an amazing experience, insane. But I've got some great memories. Another great memory, me and Goose, big up Goose Sensor, we played at Rupture in London. Got the call up from Double O and Mantra. Now, we didn't actually get to play like a jungle drum and bass set. We played like a Roots and Foundation set, but it was my only real big set in London. So that was absolutely like huge and very memorable. But yeah, man, it's hard to pinpoint one. Festivals like Shambhala, that was great, man. My first set at Shambhala was absolutely amazing. Got to play there with Kieran, K-Jar, so big up the K-Jar. So yeah, those few sets there, man, they've been really special. That's cool, man. There's a collection of them, I get that. And again, like most
most DJs and MCs that perform at raves, they've experienced something that's like a totally random moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like if they hadn't have been directly involved in it themselves, they never would have believed it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Have you ever had like a particular random moment in all the years you've been doing this?
Wow, there was a random moment. There was one club in Birmingham called Screw Club. It didn't last very long, but we played there, and SPMC was on the bill with Skeptical, and they were in the main room, and we was in room 2. And I remember just doing our set, then going in, listening to Skeptical and SPMC, and minding my own business and stuff like that. And then SP just come from the side of the stage. He was like, "Was you in there?" I'm like, "Oh bloody hell, SPMC's talking to me." Like, "Yeah, man, yeah." It's like, "Oh, that was great, man. That was great, man." And I was like, "What? This is insane, man. That was mad." But I think the best point of my, not say best point of my career, but one of the times that made me a bit like, wow, starstruck, was when I played in Tunnel Club, and Kenny Ken asked me to jump on his set after I played with, I can't remember who it was, I think it might have been like Jazzy or someone like that, Jazzy Lioness. And he was like, "Do you want to jump on mine?" And I kind of had this little laugh, like like a nervous laugh, as if to say, "What? You want me to jump on your set?" And so, and then that was that. Yeah, man, I jumped on his set. But I mean, as for like strange situations or random things happening in the rave, I mean, there's been loads. I mean, bloody hell, you know what I mean? I can't count how many strange things have happened, but I've had people try and pay me to jump on the mic, put 10s and 20s in my hand to try and have a go at the mic and stuff like that. And, you know... me and Monchi had a guy throwing £20 notes at us when we were MCing, just launching them on the stage. They were everywhere, bro. What? Everywhere. No way. And all those ravers picking them up. I was about to say, everyone we're good people, do you know what I mean? So, and this guy was off his head. Yeah. We're good people, bro. So like we were like scooping them up to give him back. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, of course. And like, you know, we're scooping them up. There's other ravers taking them. We're like, fuck, leave him. Yeah. We're scooping them up like, and bro, like we had all these fucking 20 bills in our hands, and then next minute, my man's getting ragged out by security. The guy that thrown the bills is getting ragged out by security, and he's gone. No, and we're just like, what do we do here? Got all this money. We just handed him to a promoter, man, and we just said, look, you know, if he gets in touch with you, that it's there, and that was the last of it, bro. But it's a good job we were honest people, because we could have made some serious fucking cash that night, bro. Yeah, man. Fair play to you. It's crazy, man. So thinking to the evolution of the scene and the experiences that you've gained over the years, I want you to think about the whole evolution of drum and bass within your journey. Yeah. How have you seen the drum and bass scene evolve over the years, both in terms of audience and sound? Wow. So I feel like in the terms of the sound, it's been stripped back quite a lot, man. So like, you know, back when I'd hear music, you know, when I first got into drum and bass and such, it was all heavily drum based as well as the bass, as well as bass, yeah. But it was heavily drum, you know what I mean? Heavily influenced by drums. And I feel like as we've got on through the past few years, the drums have slightly like dwindled, you know what I mean? And it's more about how nasty your sound can be and how aggressive your sound can be. You know, so that's changed along the way. And yeah, I just think, you know, just the way people are. Back in the day, it was all about peace, love, unity, respect. Now, I know there's a lot of people that still believe in that, still talk about this whole peace, love, unity, respect. But it doesn't seem to be, you know, emulated into the rave as such anymore. I just feel, you know, people are after that instant gratification, whether it be, you know, a heavy drop or, you know, the crowd response or MC saying, you know, I say DJ, you say this, you know what I mean? Back in the day, there wasn't as much of that. It was more of an organic kind of flavour. But now it's just very much focused on gritty sounds, you know, and I feel that's how it's changed a lot, man. There's still lovely bits of drum and bass out. There's still a lot of great liquid and such. But okay, put it like this. So when I first started trying to record and make tunes with drum and bass artists, like there was a kind of a formula there that people were trying to make, and it was that kind of like a minimal sound with lots of like bits of like Aggie bass in there, which you could vibe off. It was great, but everyone was making that at the time. And then the next year it would be something else, you know, Kings of the Rollers, they brought out that foghorn kind of style. Then everyone's making foghorns, so you know, it just keeps on going every year. And I think the one that we're in now is, like you said, we spoke about earlier, is fake drops and a lot of, I don't want to sound funny, but a lot of noise, you know what I mean? And I feel like the melody out of a lot of drum and bass is getting lost. You can still find them sets out there, them raves, you know, them Shoguns, them metalheads, where you will get a lot of melodic nights, but the favourite is these jump up tracks that aren't really for me. You know, there's no melody in there. It's just noise, and I feel like that's what is popular now, which is crazy in my eyes. You know.
Yeah, man. Some of these production is just nuts. Like you get, you know, car horns and everything. Do you know what I mean? It's nuts, mate. Me and Monchi, we often say some of these tracks are like robot porn, bro. They're just like
literally, man.
It's just crazy.
It is, man. It is.
But you know, now with me, even after like almost 20 years in this game, because next year me and Monchi hit 20 years, I still just now and again get nerves before set. Like people ask me this, and you know, so I'll be honest with them, bro. Like, you know, there's some raves like Subvert, for example. You know, I've been doing that since day performing at the Button Market since day one, and like I know what I'm gonna get there, bro. So like nerves don't even come into it. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I always say this. I said this to Paul because I had Paul from Subvert on the podcast, which is out soon. It's almost like a homeland, you know, like a football team have their football ground. Button Market is like our homeland, do you know what I mean? It's where we come home, do you know what I mean?
That's it, man.
But like when we're playing further afield at raves that we've never been to and things like that, we still get them nerves, bro. Like we will stand by the car and be like, oh, should we just go and get this done then? It's different when we're on stage, bro, where, you know, the mask comes on. But when we're Adam, Phil and not Dribbz and Monchi, you know, we are just like a bit of a bag of nerves, bro, until we get in there. So what I want to know for you is, how do you, if you get these nerves, and how do you deal with performance pressure or nerves before a show?
Right, you know what, I don't think there's any kind of right answer to it, but what I try to do is just breathe deeply and remember to enjoy it, because a lot of the time you're so worked up in, I hope it's good, I hope, you know, the DJ plays this, you know, a lot of hoping, a lot of thinking and wishful thinking.
The thing is, you're getting booked for a reason, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that, and you've just got to believe that, and believe in your craft, believe in your talent. And there's been some times that, you know, you felt the pressure and you'll get on set and then you won't be getting what you think you expected out of it, but you've just got to keep plugging, because maybe the latter half of that set will be better. You know, it's not always going to be as you envisaged it, but yeah, main thing is just trying to have fun with it and just breathe and have fun. Remember, like you said, that you've been booked for a reason, and just go and smash it, man. And just remember, people are here to listen to a great set. It's not all about you as the MC, and it's not all about the DJ. You're working as a team.
100%.
You know,
I mean, like after so long of us doing it now, it's like we've kind of reevaluated this scene now, and I don't mean that in like a snobby point of view. Like, trust me, but like we've had, and I'm sure you've experienced it as well, because a lot of MCs have, because you have to experience the dead arenas that you're literally playing to bar staff before you get to the big stages. Do you know what I mean? It's all part of the process,
of course,
and the amount of raves that we've been like promised big things, you know, tickets have sold out, there's people travelling from everywhere, they've got coaches and everything, and then we've travelled all the way down like 3 hours on motorway, and like we've got to there was a rave not so long ago, mentioning no names, but we got to the door and there was people all outside, there was people in the smoking area, and me and Monchi looked at each other and we're like, this is going to be heavy. I opened that main arena door, there's 4 people in there, bro.
No way.
4 people in there.
Oh my god.
Do you know what I mean? And we had to run set with 4 people because we'd been booked to do it.
That's it.
Some MCs will go, I ain't playing today, I ain't doing it. But the way we see it is, regardless to whether there's 10 people or 1,000 people, we still bring the same energy.
Same.
Do you know what I mean?
You've got to.
You have to.
I mean, and there's no point in being there otherwise. There was a gig, I can't remember the promoter, this was so long ago, it was before COVID times, but there was a gig at the Tunnel Club, and a few artists were booked, people like Furnace and Anix and Dutta, and none of these people were going because the promoter, no one heard of the promoter. Especially the big ones like Anix and Furnace, they didn't hear off the promoter, so therefore they weren't taking a risk and coming down and playing. Me on the other hand, I've been booked, and then all these headline artists started to fall off, so I was like, listen, I'm going to come, but I have to get paid beforehand because I don't feel comfortable. And the guys were like, alright, sweet, cool. So we went there. Big shouts to Cam as well, Sisterhood, she took me there, and we got in, I've got paid, got my cash in hand, I've gone and stepped in. The guy's like, oh, by the way, you're not on set with whoever you was meant to be on set with, someone like Furnace or Anix. You're on set with this guy, Geddon, his name was. Big up Geddon. And good set, but yeah, like similar to you, 4 people in there. I had literally Cam in there, and that was it. And like there's probably like 5 people that are in the smoking section, and that was it for an hour. I'm just playing to like, and sometimes Cam would go, so we're literally playing to an empty room, but I've been booked, I've just been paid, I'm not going to go now, you know what I mean? And no, that was officially the deadest set I've ever played, but like you said, we have to go through them to know the highs, you know.
Yeah, we rocked up to a rave that we were booked with Exile.
Yeah.
Big up Exile, man.
Big up Exile, great guy.
Big producer, lovely guy. And yeah, man, it was bar staff, bro. Like bar staff. Like Exile was just like, should we do it? I was like, yeah, let's go. Like, do you know what I mean? And like we did the set, but yeah, and the bar staff weren't even interested. They were just cleaning the glasses. Do you know what I mean? They weren't interested, bro. They weren't even vibing. It was an awkward one. And like now, this is what I mean by the reevaluating. Like, for how long we've been in it now, it's not, we don't feel that we deserve these packed out raves, but we look a bit more closely to where we perform at now.
Yeah.
So we won't just take any booking.
No.
If my man gets in touch with us, I've got this brand new night, it's going to be amazing and all that, we'll let that night roll for a bit, 4 or 5 events, see how it pans out, and then we'll get in touch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll
idea.
jump on the socials, we'll have a look at the past events, see what the lineups are. Yeah, we were a bit more choosy with what we go with now.
Got to be, man, because I've had people offer me sets all the way down in Exeter and stuff, and be like, put the lineup out. Great lineup. I've asked for my fee, and you know, made sure I can stay over there because it's all the way down south. And they're like, yeah, sure, everything, you know, making you want to hear whatever they're saying. You know what I mean? And then it comes to it 2 days before. I'm like, what's happening? Oh yeah, we've had to pull it, and there's not even been, you know, any courtesy to say. I've had to ask them myself, and that's happened loads of times.
You know the worst one for me, bro, is when you travel down and like you know you promised your fee, and then promoter says at the end, ticket sales weren't as good as they were, so I can only give you a quarter of what I was going to give you, which barely even covers petrol, bro. Do you know what I mean?
It's not good enough.
It's disheartening, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know. But the polite in me is like, all right, no worries. But yeah, I just want to be like, are you fucking joking?
You get me? But at least, like you said, you know, you can pick and choose a bit more, and then
that's what we're going to do now, mate.
And that's it.
Yeah, I'm sick of like, you know, doing these ones where there's 10 or 15 people, and like I've left my wife and my kids, and you know, and said bye to them, and then hit the road, and then I get to this rave and it's dead out, and I'm like, I could have just been chilling with my kids and spending a bit more time with them. Do you know what I mean? My kids are getting older now, Natty, so I need to I've reevaluated, like, you know, I know I keep going on about it, but I've been doing this for a very long time now, and like hitting the road all weekend and doing sets on silly o'clock in the morning on the Saturday, and then by the time I get home Sunday, I'm no good for anyone. I'm no good as a dad, I'm no good as a husband, I'm just there.
Burnt out, man.
Burnt out, bro.
I hear ya.
Do you know what I mean? So I reevaluate everything now because my kids ain't getting any younger, and I think for me personally, and this might come as a shock to you, bro, and I have mentioned this to a few of my listeners before, and I've had a few comments back to it, but for me personally, I feel like I've only got a few more years in me with this drum and bass, bro.
Yeah.
True story. Yeah, man. Yeah. Because like I said, I'm reevaluating everything. Like last New Year's Eve, I got booked in Birmingham, XOYO, and the lineup was massive. General Levy, everyone. And they booked me, and I sat there, and like, it's mad, bro. Like, I think until you have kids, like, you don't fully appreciate this. Like, but the New Year's Eve before that, I did 2 raves, one in Shrewsbury, one in Birmingham, and yes, they were vibing. Big up Temper for sorting us out for that. And you know, I got down there and we did the countdown. Like, Temper put us on the fucking midnight set. Come on, do you know what I mean? And like, that's wicked. And like, it was ace to do that, but I'm a bit sentimental, me, bro. Wear my heart on my sleeve, and like, when the countdown come and that, we normally spend a lot of time with the kids, like, and we'd play board games on New Year's Eve, and we just chill out. Do you know what I mean? We watch the TV and the countdown and that. And I remember looking around in the countdown and just thinking, all you lot, like, I don't know you.
Yes, you're not family.
I don't know you. You're not family to me. I'm just surrounded by a lot of people I don't know, and I want to be at home with my kids.
Yeah.
So last New Year's Eve, I got that booking, and I sat there and I was just like, I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some of the boys were like, what? You booked for it? What you doing? And I was just like, I'm not doing it. And I literally said to my wife, I said, I ain't doing it. She was like, really? You did the last one? You're mad? And I was like, I want to spend time with the kids. And we literally sat and played board games, bro. And it was the nicest evening I've had in a long time.
That's it, man.
I didn't have FOMO. I didn't have fear of missing out or anything. I wasn't sat there going, oh, I bet the rave's vibing and I'm missing this. I just enjoyed spending time with my kids because, like I said, my eldest is 16, bro. She's about to leave school soon, and then she's into the adult world, and like, I've already missed quite a bit from living this life.
Of course, man.
It takes a lot, man.
No, that's it. And you want to, like you said, spend, because obviously as she's getting older, you know, you probably see less of her. She does her own life.
100%.
You want to spend.
She's got a boyfriend herself,
and
she's, you know, she sees a boyfriend and all that stuff. And yeah, man, I want to spend as much time as I can. I don't ever want them in their adulthood to turn around and say, you weren't there, Dad.
Of course, man.
Because I'm chasing this to kind of build something of myself, to leave a legacy for the kids. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
I'm not saying I can pass Dribbz down, but I want them, like, when I'm long gone, I want them to say, dad made a dent in this world.
Yeah.
Made a bit of a difference
That's
rather than
it.
just fading into the background.
That's it, because that's your job, innit, as a father, man. You to make a difference to your kids, man. And
I want them to be proud of me, bro. And
100%,
at the
man.
moment, like, I know they're proud of me in their own way, but like, my 16-year-old thinks it's cringe that like dad's got tracks and dad's does this and drum and bass and blah blah blah. And my wife's even said to her, like, one day you'll look back on all this, you'll look at the big pack of rave flyers that your dad's been doing for 20 years, and you'll look back on all them and go, wow, he played a lot of different places.
Exactly.
But it's all part of the process, you know. I'm sure when I was 16, I didn't take anything like that into consideration. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So, but that's kind of where I'm going with it. So, as I mentioned previously, like, you never forget your first with obviously the clubs and stuff. What was your most iconic venue? Do you think that you actually attended? Because you've obviously name dropped Q Club, Custard Factory.
It was probably the Q Club. Definitely by it, hands down.
Did you go to Air?
I never got to go to her.
Did you not?
Never got to go to her.
come on.
And I know they had a thing on recently. Wasn't it a New Year's thing?
There was a New Year's, but me and Monchi went to a random concept at Air nightclub, bro.
wow.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
I bet
It was like
man.
stepping into a time tunnel, mate. Like, it took you right back. All the DJs were like drawing for all the old tracks, like
Wow.
Clip, Slippery Slopes, and like all the
wicked.
old stuff. And it was like walking into a portal, mate. It was amazing. But yeah, man, big up Random Concept, Gary K and that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was wicked, mate. So aside from you performing at various raves and festivals, including like Shambhala, NAS as well,
Yeah, NAS.
and Parklands in Telford,
Yeah, man.
your vocals can also be heard on many different releases with a range of producers. How many releases have you got on total, roughly?
Wow. I mean, I've had 3 come in the last 2 weeks, but before that, I think I touched on around 50, 51 releases. Yeah, man, all features.
51.
Yeah, man. Some very few of them have been free downloads. Most of them have been
That don't matter, bro.
released. Exactly.
You
It's
should
still
be mad
music,
proud
man.
of yourself. For
I
that.
really am, man.
No, you should be, bro. Own that
really
shit,
am.
man. Own that shit.
Definitely.
100%. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And again, as I mentioned, you never forget your first. So, what was your very first release, Natty, and who was it with?
Wow. First one was with R2. Got a big up Jack. R2 is over in Germany now.
Big up R2.
That was over on what was it? Kronos Records, and it was called Stand Up.
Did it do well, Natty?
You know what? I don't know if it necessarily done well, but the fact that it was our first release, that's all we was bothered about. We got it out there, and I couldn't believe it. I was sharing it left, right, and centre, playing it here, there, and everywhere. When me and R2 done a set, like in PST, for example,
He dropped it.
He dropped it,
Sick.
and I tried to, and that was the start of it. And looking back, it makes me smile because even my mates like Scant and Skinner, they were singing along to it. But it wasn't the tune that kind of made me. It was just the starting tune,
Yeah,
the
man, I
stepping
get
stone.
that.
But it was a good part of my life, man.
Have
So,
you
yeah,
ever
big up
thought of
R2.
big up R2, man? Have you ever thought of getting a DJ and doing a full set of your releases, bro? How cool would that be, man?
That would be amazing.
I mean, it'd be probably knacker you up, like, do you know what I mean? But
yeah, live PA kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? I haven't actually thought about it.
Have you not?
Not properly.
You should do, bro.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, it'd be great to be able to just do that and have like a PA show just for
That's the
myself, like
one.
half an hour.
That's the one.
You know what I mean? And get a DJ to do that. I had thought before of maybe doing a mix of a lot of my own stuff as well, but you get that thing in your head. It's like, who wants to hear every single one of my tunes? You know what I mean? Maybe people do. Maybe you don't know. But that's a great idea. I like that one with getting a DJ to play a lot of my stuff and doing live performances of it, man. I think that's great.
I genuinely think you should do that.
Yeah,
I
man.
really do. Now, I know that you released a vocal pack for producers to purchase that may wish to work with your vocals. How well did that vocal pack get welcomed?
Wow, there was a couple. So I done one with By the Producer sample pack, which was more of like a royalty split basis rather than selling off my own back, and that done really well. That done really, really well. And I was seeing tunes that just popping up out of nowhere. People saying, "Oh, can I put your name on this? Can I put your name on that?" And a lot of the time, I'm like, "Yeah, I've been paid for this sample pack. No problem." It just puts my name out there. So that sample pack done really well. And then I thought to myself, well, I'd done that, and I'd done a second one. By Rewind Samples, they asked me to do one, so I done one for them, and they gave me a one-off fee for that. And then by that point, I was like, you know what, I've got to do my own. I've just got to do it and put my own self-release sample pack out there. And I done that last year at some point. I can't tell you when, but yeah, I done that last year, and yeah, it exceeded expectations. That's all I can say, man. I didn't like sell hundreds of thousands, but I sold a good 10 or 15 copies, man. So it kept me afloat. And as an independent artist, it's really important to do these kind of things, because if you haven't got a financial security blanket that you can always keep yourself there. You've got to keep finding things to do to keep your, you know, your pocket.
Because these raves are good when they pay, but they're not a consistent thing, do you know what I mean?
Not at all. Not unless you're getting 3 a week, and even then, you know, you've got to be looking at to getting a good fee to be able to live comfortably off
100%. So if we were to discuss each of your individual releases, I think we'd need a part 2 and part 3. Do you know what I mean?
Mate.
Especially when you tell me there's 51 of these.
Yeah, mate.
But while we're on the subject of releases, it would be wrong of me not to mention your latest release, which is named Challenger, and it's produced with, is it Azul or Azula? Azul. Okay.
Name,
I sat there thinking, I don't know how to pronounce this. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so sorry if I've got that wrong. And that was on Nemesis Recordings.
Yeah.
Now, from an outsider looking in, it's clear to see that this track right now is doing absolute bits.
Yeah, man.
Did you expect this release to do as well as it has?
Not at all. Not, and I think that's the same with a lot of my releases. It's like the ones you think will do great tend to not do so great, and the ones you think, oh, it's all right, will do amazing. You know, it's crazy. And also the process behind it. So I've done a tune with Jenks called Rise. It's quite similar to Challenger in the sense that it's 808. It's quite minimal, and it lets me do my stuff over the rhythm. But both of these tunes, Challenger and Rise, they were very, very, I wouldn't say easy to write, but it felt like it just flowed. You know, and it feels like now the tunes that flow are the ones that do the best. But it feels like I don't put a lot of, no, not a lot of work in. I do put a lot of work in, but like I just said, it just flows. It can write it within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Other tunes, it took me a couple of days to like get them solidly down, man.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
I love the video that goes alongside it, mate. It's natural, do you know what I mean? It's not like it's forced.
No, man.
It doesn't look, there's not like any like crazy special effects or anything. It's just natural, man. And that's what a lot of people like. And I think like that video, like, it's the perfect TikTok video. Yeah. It captures people straight away.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And was it the producer that sorted out that? Because I did see a little comment from you saying big thanks to him for sorting.
Yeah, Azul had the vision, man. He just said he wanted to get some shots done, a bit of content done. I mean, I didn't think he was going to go to the extent of getting the whole studio kind of booked up and stuff like that. But I mean, I've got to give credit where it's due, man. It's a big shout out to Azul and also Jed, who shot it, man. They're both really good guys, man. And I've got to really just, you know, show some respect and thanks to the guys over at Nemesis and also Azul for working. It's been, everyone's put a shift in, you know.
Yeah, man, it's come together, and it's come together. And I know, I can tell it's doing bits, because I said this to you before. With a lot of your releases, you know, I always pay attention to the release, give it a click and all that, and check it out. And like, but this Challenger, like, I'm seeing people in the scene that weren't sharing your stuff that are now sharing your stuff.
That's it, man. It's
I've
crazy.
seen it. Do you know what I mean?
It's crazy, man. It feels like you work all the way for this eventually, you know, for people in the scene to be sharing it and people coming up in your inbox saying how good it is, you know. People like Goddard and Charlotte Devaney pop in the inbox, just be like, the new tune is amazing, you know.
Sick, man.
It really is, bro. It really is. People like Napes and Boo commenting on the actual post saying how much of the tune is. Yeah, man. Really, really big names, man. So
hopefully they drop it in a set, mate. Come on,
mate. Imagine.
Do you know what I mean?
think so, man. I mean, it's been getting played all around the country, man. There's still a few more weeks to go. So yeah, man. Yeah,
that's wicked. Now I think I may already know the answer to this, but what's been your biggest release so far?
Oh, you know, it's probably got to be this one, Challenge.
I knew it.
It's got to be, man. It's mad. It's crazy because I would have thought, you know, the latest one. Usually, the latest one isn't the biggest one. It's usually the ones from years before, like my All Stars mic on D&B All Stars. That done bits for ages, and it was just waiting for another tune. And I think this is the tune now that's overpassed that. Yeah, and is the one. So yeah, I'm feeling really good, man.
It's mad though, isn't it? Because like you put out this, and you know, you generally think like, right, that is like that's up there, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then,
man.
But then like, do you feel pressure with your next release now that you've got to live up to?
A bit,
because if you come a little bit down on your, you know, on your performance and all that, it's people are going to be like, yeah, that last one was good, but
not feeling this one exactly.
Because they do say, don't they, you're only as good as your last release.
100%. And the thing is, what I'm trying to do now is when something works. So like with this Challenger tune, there's a formula there. Now, yeah, I want to be able to recreate that formula similar to it, but in a way, obviously, it's going to be a different sounding track. But then also the track after that and the track after that, they can't always be like that, you know what I mean? You've got to give it something fresh, and this one was a fresh tune with a new idea and a new different kind of hook that's really, really catchy. Yeah. But I mean, I've had tunes like that. It's just for this one now, it's been pushed in the right way. It's got the perfect instrumental for me to bounce on it, and the hook is really, really catchy. It's an earworm. Yeah, so I think all you got to do is go to that formula, find something that's catchy again, and kind of work off that. But all in all, as an artist, you know, you've got to just keep it fresh, keep it different. For example, that Spider had done a tune with Inja on Souped Up. It was that I can't remember the tune, but it was different to what Spider usually does. And that Spider, man, he's been doing this for years, man. Great tune. I can't remember what the name of it is, but yeah, perfect example is Spider switching it up, and you just have to keep it fresh, man. So I'm looking forward to the next one. Yeah, there is a bit of pressure, but main thing is to just enjoy it, and enjoy it when I'm in the studio, man. You know.
Is that one? Is it called Spray Tan?
That's the one.
I'm not going to pretend like I knew it. I've just Googled it. Mate.
That's the one, man. That's the one.
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
And like it shows as well, like with the progression of promotion as well, because it seems to be like, as I said, going back to TikTok, people they doom scroll, they just look.
Yeah.
Someone told me some really important information. They said if you can't, people's concentration is like 2 to 3 seconds. If that video doesn't capture you in them seconds, they're on to the next one.
That's it.
So it's all about how it looks and all that stuff. And I think them videos that I've noticed more and more now of like Spider, for example, he drops that one, he's just fucking walking down the street towards the camera, and the camera's going backwards and he's walking towards it. They're so effective.
They really are, man.
And that's where yours has worked.
That's
that's what I think.
Yeah,
because
man.
it's like, boom, here's me, here's the producer of the track, here we are, you know, I can see that the producer's finishing off a few of the lyrics and all that stuff. Like, it works, bro. Like aesthetically to look at, it works. And I think it captures people and makes them hang about. And it would be good for you to look to the next one fairly soon while that momentum's still going.
110%, man. 110%. Yeah, just really need to see how this does, let it breathe for a bit, and of course get back out there and do it again. But yeah, man, like anything, it's just finding the time, finding the money, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course, mate. Yeah,
it's that as well, man. So
100%. So you mentioned 51 releases. How many labels is that on, would you say?
Wow. So I mean, definitely over, I've probably reached about 30 labels now. Yeah, 30 labels, which another thing I kind of celebrated a milestone. So it was over 50
that's
releases.
That's worth the Dribbz Talks clap, that is, brother.
Thank you so much, bro.
Come on. It's amazing.
Yeah, man. You know, labels, wow. Labels like Sub Edit, labels like, oh, bloody hell, where do we go? Situate Audio on Reedy's label. I've had D&B All Stars, Guerrilla Warfare, just to name a few. My own label, 012 Recordings. Now Nemesis, Ransacked, and Jungle Cakes as well. Jungle Cakes is a huge one, man. So that's just a few. Serial Killers, to name a few. You know what I mean?
Man. Is there any particular labels that you'd really like to release in the future?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. For me, I don't know what it is, but I really want a V Recordings release, just to be able to say, you know, I've had one on V. I did think of Metalheads, but the thing is with Metalheads, to find a vocalist on a Metalheads tune nowadays is quite rare, but to find a vocalist on a V Recordings track it happens, you know what I mean? So definitely would love something on V. Would have liked to have something on Born on Road, only because we were talking about something on Born on Road years ago with Aries, and it never got there. So I'd like to go back into that and try and get it out there.
Man, I think you and Aries would be perfect, bro.
I think so, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think so, man.
So if Aries happens to land up on the Dribbz Talks podcast, link up with Natty D, man.
You know what to do.
It's written in the stars, brother. Come on.
You know what to do, man. Yeah.
That's wicked. So when you talk of your earlier labels, we must give a mention to 0121 Recordings.
Big up, man.
Which you had a release with, am I right in saying Danzilla, called Stepper?
Stepper, yeah.
See, I've done my research,
Thank
Natty.
you, bro. Yeah, big up, man.
So who was behind the idea of 0121 Recordings?
It was like a Cole thought idea. So it was me and Cam. Me and Cam was walking down the weir one day, ironically. It was in winter, and it was just, I think it was the same year as COVID. I was walking down thinking, we want to do something for Brum and let producers have a place where they can release their music, a bit like a hub, like the 0121 kind of hub. And big up R2 again. He was our first release on the label, so it's full circle again. We released together. He was my first release, but then he was the first release on our label.
Love that.
Yeah, man. And it was great. That got supported by Blade Runner and Ray Keith. They really liked that, and it was amazing. It was moving, man. And then I think Stepper come after, but it was more a free download. And then eventually that went onto Bandcamp because the free downloads were getting ridiculous, and everyone was downloading it left, right and centre, and people wanted dubs of it. So yeah, man, the first two releases were really good, man. They were really good.
No, that's wicked, mate. The progression of 0121 Recordings giving Birmingham-based artists a platform. Well, that obviously progressed to the fantastic Sisterhood in Birmingham.
Yeah,
now,
man.
Sisterhood is a women-led DJ and MC collective that promotes diversity, self-expression and community. And when I say the Sisterhood team is strong, best believe you don't want to step to these lot. Can you tell me a bit more about Sisterhood Birmingham and who was behind the vision?
Of course, man. So that is down to Cam. Killer Cam is Sisterhood CEO. It is down to her, man. I've helped on a few events. You know, I might have stepped in to do a warm-up set, something like that, and just to get a lot of the girls on board, you know, played a little part in that. But it's all down to Cam, man, and her idea. She noticed that there wasn't a lot of females in Birmingham and in the scene in general getting their flowers or getting a lot of respect. Do you know what I mean? Like, they weren't really getting really called up on, or they just weren't getting their flowers, man. So she decided to put on an event, Sisterhood Birmingham, at the Dark Horse Moseley. We had a good 10 DJs or something on the bill, and it was a really good night, man. But prior to that, it started from, I think it was a night with Indica at the Dark Horse Moseley, and that was a ticketed event, and we done really well on that. And that was part of our 121 recordings before Sisterhood really come into fruition. But that was the seed that started it off, and it started off great, man. And had loads of people from all around the city, even out of town, saying they wanted to join. Before she knew it, Cam had about 29 girls on board.
Wow.
Which was a lot to deal with, as you can imagine. And yeah, it went from strength to strength. And then there was a bit of a lull, I think, last year. As you do with certain things, you know, just certain things, certain ideas, concepts. A lot of people, some of the girls dropping out, some new girls coming in, and just the way things were handled were just moving a bit differently. Not necessarily bad, but just different. Some people dropped out, some people came in. But we had a really great show recently. The end of Feb it was, with Rhea and Colette Warren, both Birmingham-based artists, and they come down. And again, it was just like the early days of Sisterhood. It was absolutely ramming at the Dark Horse. People were loving it, shouting for the reload, and yeah, I mean, Cam's done absolute bits with it. But the main thing was to just give all these girls a platform where they feel you know, appreciated, and they can work in a nice environment, a safe environment.
Yeah, I love that.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of these girls have been going to sets and they don't feel safe.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I do say to a lot of like the new female DJs coming up. I speak to a girl called Jade from I forget her DJ name. It might even be JD&B. But yeah, I speak to her from Kettering and that, and I did say to her, you know, you're in a very fortunate position now to be coming through as a female DJ, because it's getting quite normal now.
It is.
Back in the day, it was like you had DJ Daisy, you had rap, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Now you've got like Charlotte Devaney, you've got Charlie T. They're all repping the girls. You know what I mean?
Loads
They're in a
of them,
very
man.
fortunate position now to be coming through as a female DJ, because it's inclusive.
Yeah, and
but it's good that Sisterhood is giving that platform.
That's it, man.
And you had me and Monchi down for Sisterhood, and we loved it, mate. It was fucking great, man.
was
The
brilliant.
vibes, come on, the
That's
vibes
it.
are brilliant.
And just like you said, then you and Munchie were down. That's one thing that Cam didn't want to do. At first, of course, it was strictly the women, and give these girls the time that they deserve and they need. But as time went on, you know, we wanted to get the guys involved, so I was there to sometimes jump on a set or to play the opening set or something, just there when she needed some help, not there to steal the show. This is for the girls. So it was good to get yourselves in, good to get me in. We've had a few other MCs and even a few other DJs that have played for Sisterhood that aren't girls, but we've had girls MCing for them, you know, mix and match it. So yeah, man, she didn't want to completely like pigeonhole herself into just being girls as well. There's people that identify differently, you know, use pronouns that you know it's not just strictly for girls, it's for everyone. Basically, Sisterhood was for everyone. And yeah, man, I must say I love credit, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Big up Cam every time. Like, I must say, like, you know, some of the promo bits that I've seen from different artists in the past, like, you know, they've got the Sisterhood t-shirts on. I'm like, yeah, there's a member of the team right there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love that. I love that,
man.
Now, as with most of my podcasts, if not all of them, I like to touch on a particular topic that's extremely close to my heart and something that I advocate for every single day of my life, and that is mental health.
Yes.
Tell me, Natty, have you ever experienced mental health, and how old was you when you first experienced this?
Yeah, man. Well, when I was about, let's get into it, man, about 11, 12, you know, stuff with my family and my little brother being born, you know, it was tough times then. It was really tough. You know, my mum and dad were going through some tough times, and that leads you to feeling a bit anxious and a bit confused, you know, not knowing where you stand and stuff, and having to stay at other people's houses because, you know, dad's on a mad one, stuff like that. So a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, man. And obviously seeing your parents upset, you know, my dad wasn't in his right state of mind. That's really upsetting. Seeing your mum cry a lot, that's not right. And, you know, as I told you earlier, being burgled, you know, that played a big part in trusting and you know, being able to live comfortably and that, and knowing like, you know, that you're gonna live in a safe home and stuff. So yeah, man, from early, man, you kind of felt some kind of, you know, mental health, man, some kind of depression there and some kind of anxiety. So yeah, I was as young as like 10, man.
Wow.
Been feeling that.
Was it yourself that kind of identified that you were struggling, or was it others around you?
More so myself than anyone else. Yeah, more so myself. Of course, my parents noticed it. Of course, my mum, you know, she'd always ask if you're all right and how you're doing. But, you know, it's only scratching the surface. You know, as an individual, you like to take things and not really, you know, let everyone know how you're feeling a lot of the time, and you hold things in and you bottle them up and stuff like that. And she'd ask me, oh, how you feeling about your dad? How you feeling about this? You know, all right, but, you know, really you're gutted about it. Such,
yeah, you want to give them the answers that they're looking for, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Of course, man, of course. So, yeah, man. And then, you know, you get older, you start getting into school. I mean, school for a lot of people isn't good, and it's not for everyone.
Mad pressure.
You get what I'm saying? Mad pressure. To either get bullied, you either lose your friends to other friends, you know, and you are finding yourself as a teenager. It's, in fact, probably the most difficult time for a kid's life if you haven't been if you haven't experienced mental health situations in your life. Then school will really put you through it.
Trust me. And I always say, like, you can have the perfect physique, you can have nothing wrong with you, and still they'll find something. And if you're someone who has got something not wrong with you, but you do have, like, I don't know, let's say autism, for example, or something along them lines, you know, and it's quite apparent, you quite a big target in it. Do you know what I mean?
100%, man.
It's hard, man.
This is Nicky Blackmarket. You're in tune to the Dribbz Talks Podcast. Keep it locked.
So what steps did you take to support your mental health, Natty?
Well, again, it's like just being out, making music, trying to, a lot of the time it was more dealing stuff on my own, listening to music in my room on my own, drawing pictures, writing music, writing tracks. At this point I did pick up the guitar, you know, just trying to find a few chords and strum them along and do this. Mainly just getting out as well, getting out, seeing my friends, seeing close family, you know, because there wasn't really anyone you could look for comfort in it. You know, I couldn't really ask my older brother. He didn't really care. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't really ask my dad or mum. You know, well, could ask my mum, but my dad he didn't really care and stuff like that, man. Like, don't get it twisted. My dad is a great guy, man, but he just struggled in the latter parts of our life, man. Which obviously caused me to struggle. And like nowadays, I don't really see him as much. You know, we lost his dad, my granddad, not too long ago, and he struggled with that, man. So yeah, man, there's been some tough times, man. But yeah, we just got to get through them, I guess, man. You know what I mean? As easy as possible, as however way you get through it, you get through it.
So as an adult now, then, Natty, do you still struggle with mental health? Or
you know what? I think as I've got older, it's got more difficult because, you know, when you're older, there's a bit more pressure on you. You know, I haven't exactly got kids at the minute. I've got a couple of dogs. You know,
mate, they're just as much as kids, man.
You know what I mean? They are, man. So you have to look after them, but you know, especially with the job I'm doing, you know, if there's nothing's ever secure, so you're always worrying on that front. You know what I mean? You're worrying about where the next paycheck's gonna come from, and it's been like that for since I left work. But as I got older, man, you know, you'll get into relationships. You know, people come, people go, friends come and go, family members come and go, and I think it has a lasting effect on your mental health. All in all, it really does, because, you know, you might have been a different person when these people were around in your life, and now they're not, and then you change and you get a better person, or you find a new girlfriend and then they lift you up.
100%.
You know what I mean? But I mean, all in all, we're surrounded by, you know, the social media, and like we said earlier, the doom scrolling, and everything is put through social media and technology nowadays. And I think if you're not on it, then you're missing out. But you're almost forced to be on it.
You are, bro. Yeah.
And
Times are moving,
it's not
man.
good for mental health. It's really not. I find myself slipping and feeling not right if I'm always on my phone or trying to promote all day. You know what I mean? I'm on my phone trying to push and promote and do videos, and that in itself it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work on your head. You shouldn't be looking at a device all day. You know
I
what
agree,
I mean?
man. And I don't care what anyone says. Like, every one of us at some point in our life has compared ourselves to other artists. Like, I've been on to, MCs or hip-hop artists with my releases that have only been around 10 minutes, whereas I've been slugging it like for years, and like I've looked at their streams and they're mad streams, and I'm like, where am I going wrong here?
Exactly, man.
And some people say to me, don't compare yourself to other people, but you can't help doing that sometimes, bro.
You can't. One of my mantras, or one of my things back, I think I even put it in lyrics, was don't compare, you'll never complete.
Yeah.
Don't compare, because you will never. So if you keep comparing yourself to other artists, you'll never complete yourself as an artist. And I remember speaking to this with another MC before, and he was saying, well, if you've got nothing to compare, then how do you better yourself? And I'm like, well, that's a good point, but if you don't compare, then you know what I mean. If you don't compare yourself to anyone, then you can only better yourself.
100%.
You can only get the best out of your ability if you're just in your lane, and no one knows what sounds good except for yourself. Really and truly, you know what sounds good. You're like, this sounds great. You know what I mean? You don't really need another person to be like, that sounds great. You should know by now, after like 20 years in the scene yourself, 10 years myself, know what sounds good. You don't need anyone else telling you otherwise. You know
This
what I mean?
is what I keep saying to people, and I do harp on about this, but if any of my listeners who may be aspiring artists can take anything away, is like, believe in yourself, because like, if you don't believe in yourself, then how will you ever have any supporters that will believe in you?
100%.
If you don't carry yourself with, there is a thin, me and Paul, or I think it was a past guest, talked about this. There's a thin line between being confident and being cocky.
That's it.
Right, a thin line. But carry yourself with belief. Because if you're on stage and you're like, your posture's down and you're not really into it, and like, even with my promotion videos, I'll do these promotion videos, catch me here next week at blah blah blah. If I'm just like, well, I'm playing here, you can come if you want, or if you don't want to, it's up to you. People are going to look at that and go, nah, man. But if you put a bit of enthusiasm into it, I'm playing here, it's going to be wicked, it's going to be Roadblock.
That's it.
I don't know if it's going to be Roadblock, but I'll say it anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's positivity in it, and
You've
I think
got to push out there.
You really have, bro. And obviously you've got the lovely Cam on your sides as well.
Yeah,
you know
man.
what I mean? And I'm sure she supports you in a lot of things that you do.
Oh, everything, man, everything.
I say behind every good man is an even better woman, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Man.
And like with my wife, she strives for me to be the best possible version of me, and I'm sure that's no different with Cam as well.
Definitely, man. I mean, I couldn't. A lot of things that have happened, I couldn't have done it without her. You know what I mean? She'd be driving me up and down the country, doing sets here and there, and obviously with
That's
sisterhood and the
right
label.
there, bro.
100%, man. Times when she doesn't want to come out, she'll be there. So it's bang on. Behind every good man is an even better woman, man. Trust me, bro.
It's
know
right,
what I mean?
man. It's right. Don't care what anyone says. It is right, bro. So, do you have any coping strategies for the days that you like, even like now I'm talking like, if you just don't feel yourself and your mental health might be struggling, is there any like form of coping strategies? I throw myself into music. That's my coping strategy. I don't take antidepressants. Music is my medication, bro.
Yeah, exactly the same, man. Exactly the same. A lot of the time I'll try and take myself, away from everyone, not in a negative way, but just in a way that I can enjoy my own company, put something on music wise, a bit of bob, whatever it is, to just get you out of that zone. You know what I mean? But a lot of the time, what helps me is if I'm not feeling 100%, or mental health is struggling, I'm struggling with what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling, then I'll walk. I'll just go out. And I think it's one of the most underrated things that people don't understand. It's like, when you're feeling low, all you want to do is probably get back into bed and say, forget the world and go to sleep and hope it will be better when you've come out the other side. But that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to just walk, just get out there and just do it, to take your mind off
Walking
it.
the dog is underrated, bro.
Oh,
I
mate,
love it. I
you.
love it, man. People say to me like, why are you walking him twice? Why are you walking? Because I've got 2 dogs, so obviously I don't walk them together because it's just too much, man. But like I'll go out twice a day with each dog, and it's just, man, it's in my own thoughts.
That's it.
I think mad stuff when I'm doing I'm like, oh, what can I do with my next release?
That's it, man.
Do you know what I mean?
100, man. And a lot of the time, though, bro, it's like, I'm doing the same. I'm walking the dogs, and a lot of the time I can't stop. My mind will not stop, or there's something that I'm worried about and I can't get out of my head. And a lot of the time I would just have to just do that dog walk or a little run or clean the house to stop these, my mind getting the better of me. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is down to just being in this scene and doing this stuff. And it goes great a lot of the time, but there's a lot of pressure and a lot of worry, and a lot of people come in and saying, you want to do this, do you want to make that? and then also finding your worth. You know, yeah, I want to do this, but I want this, I want X amount for it, and then people are like, no, and that's another thing. It's like, oh right, so I've missed an opportunity there, but realistically you haven't, because it's like someone wants you to come over and, you know, let's say you're a plumber and do the job. Well, you're obviously going to get paid first beforehand, or you're going to get a quote or whatever. So why is it any different that you want my vocals on your tune that's going to lift up your tune? You've got to support me.
I totally agree.
So a lot of the time, if that's not happening, it's another thing to put you down in the dumps, but it's just, you just got to keep plugging and plugging and plugging away at it, you know what I mean, man?
100%. Now, lastly then, for touching on the mental health, just to kind of round that up,
yeah,
do you have any advice for any of my listeners in the podcast that may be struggling themselves?
Yeah, of course, man. So my best bit of advice is to just get out there, get outside in nature, man. That's one of the best things that's helped me, is like, if you are feeling low, is to just try as hard as you can to just go, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's sitting out in the back garden.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes that space that you've been stagnant in and not feeling too good in, and you can't get out of your head, you need to escape that space and just get into a fresh kind of space and look elsewhere, you know what I mean? Sometimes what's great, what I find, is if you've got a good friend that you can always rely on, is to just give them a call and talk to them. You know what I mean? People always say it like, my inbox is open, or give us a call. A lot of the time they mean it, a lot of the time they don't, but I know that if there's listeners out there that have really solid, good friends, just speak to them, because a lot of the time they want you to speak to them. They want to know what you're doing. They want to know how you're feeling. I want to know how my friend's feeling, and if he's not feeling right, then tell me. Maybe your friend's got a solution for it, you know what I mean? Again, music is always a healer, no matter what. Maybe if you're an artist and you're, let's say for example, trying to do too much drum and bass or too much grind, then listen to a bit of jazz, listen to a bit of reggae, listen to something that's not something that you're trying to always push or put out there, you know what I mean? Yeah, man.
100%, mate. Sterling advice, man. And it comes from, you know what I mean, like, Natty isn't talking from lack of experience here. This is a guy that's had, you know, true life experiences. So, like, yeah, like, believe me when he's saying this, every word, man. It's right, bro. I'm totally with you, Natty. Totally with you. So let's move to your next chapter then, bro. So aside from the drum and bass MCing, you're also known for being the lead vocals in a Bob Marley revival. Is it revival group? Would you go with that tribute?
It was the revival, but we've moved on now.
Okay, so tell me, how did that first come around to you being involved with that, bro?
That was, wow, it started from PST. A guy saw me at PST. So we obviously saw the locks, and he was like, this guy can probably do some Bob Marley music. And then he spoke to me afterwards, just said, do you want to kind of sort a little meeting? I've got some work, maybe we could get you into doing a Bob Marley thing. I was a bit unsure, can't lie, because I hadn't done any of this before, you know what I mean? I love Bob, but I haven't sung, you know, Bob Marley songs to hundreds of people, if not thousands of people before, so it was a bit daunting, but we got through it, man. Done the first rehearsal session. As you can imagine, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. You know, I'm singing a few tunes out of a few songs out of tune, excuse me, and getting the lyrics wrong here and there. It was just a bit of pressure, weren't it? But yeah, man. Fast forward, how many years ago was that? Good 6 or 7 years ago. Fast forward now, and it's like second nature, you know what I mean? Commanding the stage, and, you know, looking a bit like Bob Helps as the tribute band, you know what I mean, as the lead singer, and all I have to do now is just try and sound like him. And yeah, man, after listening to him all them years, and, you know, just trying to not mimic it, but master it as much as possible, emulate it, it's the right word. Yeah, man, it's been a crazy few years, man. Crazy 7 years, should I say? So yeah, and now I'm working with a band called Exodus, and they're amazing. I'm gonna big up the whole band, man. We've had some amazing shows this year, and yeah, still some more to come as well, man. We've had some great shows in Brighton, down London. I haven't had too many up north yet, but still waiting for it. Yeah, man, we've had some excellent shows with Exodus, so yeah, I just hope that we can keep getting booked and keep bringing the fire, you know, and keep spreading the message of, like, one love to everyone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, definitely. So can you give my listeners an idea of some of the venues and the places you've performed at with this Bob Marley group?
Yeah, sure, man. Okay, starting with some of the biggest ones. So got to perform in Chester at Bowlesworth Castle for the Car Fest. That was Chris Evans, I think he's a radio presenter. That was his festival.
Was it really? Chris Evans?
Chris Evans, man. And he was,
I remember him from the Big Breakfast back in the day, man.
He was there on the side of the stage, man. Just dancing along to the music, which was pretty mad. But we had a good 2,000 people there watching us, which was probably the biggest crowd. We got to play Windsor Racecourse. That was absolutely huge, man. Another good 2,000 there. We got to play Sub 89 in Reading. I mean, it wasn't one of the best venues, but it was a great show. We're playing the Glider Drome this year. It's in Boston by Lincoln. I haven't played there before. Played this great warehouse in Cardiff. I can't remember what that was called, but that was huge, man. That was really good. But Carfest was up there. Open air theatre in Brighton has probably been the best one we played this year. So it's like an amphitheatre in Brighton. It was in the summer. We had about 300 people there, but it was really intimate, and it went from the day into the night. And
love that.
It was really special, man, and people just absolutely loved it. I didn't know there was such a big love for reggae in Brighton, but it seems that there is, man. So big up the Brighton massive, man.
Has performing in this group helped better you as a drum and bass MC?
Oh, 100%, because you can bring things into it that I didn't before. So I can bring in vocals into it, you know what I mean? I've got more confidence in believing in my voice, so then I can push that out in the drum and bass set. You know, it would work really well maybe on a liquid set. I can put some vocals in there, but yeah, it really has. It's helped, and a lot of it's helped with breath work. When you're singing, when I was first doing the Bob Marley stuff, I was pushing myself, trying to sing all the core, all the notes and all the words, but a lot of the time you have to breathe, or else you're not going to get the best out of that word, out of that note. And now that's come into the drum and bass, because a lot of MCs will be there, you know, 10 to the dozen trying to spit, veins popping out their head, you know, and you got to just breathe. You got to breathe. That way people can hear you, and you got good
clarity,
cadence.
innit?
Exactly.
It's all about clarity, man.
Always. You know what I mean?
There's too many better MCs.
Exactly.
Or when I'm on a mic, when I'm on that when I'm on the mic seems to be like the legendary up and coming MCs kind of go to. Like,
I think Upgrade started that, didn't he?
Did he?
In COVID or something.
When I'm on the mic,
when I'm on the mic,
seems to be just the way, man. Okay, so can you give my listeners like a little insight to what skills you apply to I was going to say the two alter egos, but you've said Natty is kind of yourself, so what skills do you apply to Natty and the frontman of the Bob Marley group? Right,
so the main skill I just have to push out there is confidence. I remember you saying earlier there's a thin line between confidence and cockiness, but that you've just got to go into it wholeheartedly, no hesitation and no worry. Because when you see Bob sing, and when you see him on these shows, he was just a messenger of Jah, as he likes to say, and just a messenger of music and a messenger of peace and love. But whenever he done his shows, he gave it more than 100%. It was always there at the front. It was never sloppy or never like, you know, or if he was tired, he wasn't showing it. It was always giving his 110% into the music. And that's one thing that when I was first doing the Bob Marley shows, I struggled with. But then as you keep doing them, and as you feel that essence and you feel the music, the reggae music, Bob's music, you then kind of emulate him. So you've got to be confident, and that's one of the things that I had to take into every show now, is just be as confident as possible.
Yeah, man. You know? So based on playing with a band or playing solo, which do you prefer?
Oh, definitely with a band. I've played a solo show, and that was difficult. It was really hard. But with the band, you've got everyone there to support you, to back you, you know what I mean? And of course, the lead man is always going to be the focal point, but people forget how essential your band is. If there's no band, there's no me. Of course, there's no lead singer, there's no band, and the band can't just play music without a lead singer. But
that's team, man.
Exactly, it's teamwork. Whereas the solo show I've done this in Newtown, actually, so on the way to Wales, and the guy had saw me from a previous Bob Marley show, and he said, well, would you be down to play at my restaurant? And I was like, well, I haven't done it before, and I'm about this. If I haven't done something before, I want to do it because it's experience. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, right. Gave him a fee, and obviously said there'll be a few more bits included because I've got to bring some sound down. Done the show. Well, before the show, it was a really weird, like thin, narrow corridor restaurant, so I didn't have much room to do a lot. There was no dancing. It was just strictly singing. There was about 20 people in there, and yeah, it was difficult because through the times that I'm not singing and I'm changing over the transition to tune, I'm trying to talk to him, maybe crack a little joke or something like that, but it's unnatural because I haven't got my band with me. I've just got Cam in the background. Yeah. So yeah, that was hard, man. But again, it's experience, and you want to just do whatever you can do. And the people came up to me afterwards saying how amazing it was. And, you know, I was like, brilliant, because I struggled. I didn't say that, but in my head, you know, I struggled. I thought, wow, but thank you so much for the props, man. So definitely prefer the band.
100%. So with the drum and bass MC, and there is such a thing as like turning up on the night and winging it. But I'm guessing with the Bob Marley shows, it takes a lot of preparation and planning. Would you say that's fair to say? Yeah,
100%. With rehearsals most weeks. It was every Wednesday, but because I'm over here in Shrewsbury now with Cam, and my band's in Birmingham, it's just too much to keep going every week on the train and such. So we do it every fortnightly, but we rehearse strictly. We got a good couple hours in there. Yeah, man, we love it.
Wicked. Now, knowing what you know now with the music scene and performing in general, if you could restart your whole journey through music again, is there anything that you'd do differently, Natty?
You know what? I don't think there is. I don't think there's anything I do differently. It's just that people that you surround yourself with at these times in life, maybe I would have liked to ideally not had them people around, because a lot of people, here's a little example, I was with a girl before and she didn't really get the best out of me. She wasn't there at my gigs, at my set, she wasn't there supporting me, you know, which I could have done with, but it didn't change the fact that whatever music I was putting out there or whatever show I was doing, I was still doing it and doing it with all that I had, you know what I mean? So as far as the music, no, I wouldn't change anything, but just the people I kept with me, I'd probably change that, you know?
Yeah, love that. Okay, and finally, where do you see Natty D as an independent music artist in, like, let's say 5 to 10 years?
Wow, great question. I mean, ideally, where I'd see Natty D as an artist is I want to be able to release my own music a lot of the time on my own label. You know, it's great having so many releases on different labels, you know, but essentially now is the time to really look after my own label. I've been doing so many tunes for everyone else, you know, through the label. I had a few of my own features through the label, but I want it to be a strictly like Natty D kind of releasing label. And also I've got an album coming out soon. It's not fully produced, but everything's in the works. Producers have gave me their tunes. It's just about getting it down now, and getting everything recorded. So that is in the pipeline. So hopefully with an album being released on my label, it will lead to my label getting a bit more traction and maybe another release of another album in the future.
Yeah, man.
Just trying to push 0121, you know what I mean?
I must say, mate, I mean, I've mentioned this before, but I definitely want you on my next new album, man.
Oh, please.
Just a little cheeky feature on that. I love that. It'd give it a completely different edge. And I'm all about stepping out of my comfort zone as well. And I think working with you would push me to, you know, to do even better. So,
brilliant,
yeah, man, I'm totally down for that. So, mate, firstly, thank you so much for explaining your journey. Like, it's been an absolute pleasure, man.
Welcome. Thank you for having me on, bro.
I hope that, like, the listeners have got a good insight to all things Natty D, do you know what I mean? And I hope that, like, you know, they may even find their next new favourite artist, you know what I mean? That's what it's all about, bro.
Man, that would be great,
you
man.
know, I love to use this platform to, like, just, although it's called Dribbz Talks, it's less about me now, bro. I've had them times where I've put my story out and people know where I've come from and how I've got to where I am, but this is more about letting other people have a platform. And I'm not saying this will benefit you in any way, but you know what I mean? It gives you a time just to kind of get your story out there, bro. Yeah, you wouldn't normally tell people.
That's the one, because today, honestly, I've had interviews, I've done this, I've, you know, I think it's my first official podcast that's gonna be out there. But honestly, I haven't touched on so much things that I didn't think I would be touching on, you know what I mean? And it, to the listeners out there, you know, you've had an insight on my life, which not a lot of people know, you know, and this is probably the most that I've ever talked about my life.
Love that, you know what I mean? Well, it's honestly a pleasure that you've done that on my platform, man. There's been a few artists that have said that, like, I've never told anyone about this, but I feel that comfortable, I'm just going to do it. Do you know what I mean? So, like, that's, to me, that's an honour that people trust me enough to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Thank you, bro.
I hope you've enjoyed it, bro.
I loved it. Honestly, loved it, mate.
Yeah?
I've loved it. Big up Dribbz, man. And big up the listeners, man. I hope you enjoyed it, man.
Okay, well, this, you're not quite finished yet. We are into the end of the show, but you've not quite finished. So, this is my favourite part of the show. I like to give some quick fire questions, bro. They're totally random questions. There's no right or wrong answer. You can choose to pass if you want.
Okay.
I do this with all my guests and I never tell them about it. I just kind of drop it on them just as a bit of it's just a bit of a fun, away from all the seriousness and, you know, and all the deep stuff. It's just a bit of fun, bro.
End on a light note, innit?
Trust me. Yeah. So let's do it. Go on, so if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Whoa, I'd like to fly. Yeah. I'd be able to fly everywhere, yeah.
Just cruising around like,
You know
I
what
get
I mean?
that, I get that. All right, if you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh no, it would be dumplings, fried fish, and rice and peas. That's me.
You know my man staying true to his roots.
He's
Come
got
on.
to.
Come on. If you could choose one song or one piece of music that would play each time you entered a room, what would it be?
Oh wow. I'd like to say some kind of classical piece, but I mean, every time I enter the room, it's probably got to be Natty D by Bob Marley, because that's who I am, man.
Yeah,
man.
I love that. I love that. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Not to worry so much, you know. A lot of my issues, I believe, as an individual, is down to worrying and you know, stressing over absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? Life, whatever will be. You know, you ain't got no control over that. So don't worry about the things that you can't control. That's what I tell my younger self, man.
I always growing up, I'd always worry about how people perceived me.
Yeah,
and it's only till I've got to 37 now, I'm just like, fuck it. They'll either like me or they won't. You know what I mean?
Man.
Like, you can't please everyone, man. You know, I've had loads of people go, Dribbz, I love your hip hop. It's really resonated with me. I'm not even into hip hop, but listening to yours, I've really pulled it. But then I've had a few people go, no, I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah.
And like, to me, back in the day, I used to take that personal. I'd be fuck yeah. But I've taught myself now to think like, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea,
Exactly.
man.
That's a great thing to say, bro. Same with me, you know. The tune's doing bits at the minute, it's great, but you know, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I know that, and I know there's probably other people out there that think, you know, I'm probably not even that good, but that's fine. That's people's opinions. You just can't let it get to your head, man, and let it worry, because we're in the positions that we're in now. You know what I mean?
Trust me.
So yeah, man.
Imagine aliens land on Earth, and you must convince them that humans are worth saving. What would you say?
Wow. Wow.
Like I said, you can choose to pass.
Yeah,
There's no right or wrong answer.
I don't want to pass anything, but this is a great one to convince aliens that to keep us on Earth.
Yeah, man.
Well,
then again, we fucked this Earth up, haven't we? So we ain't got no right to.
I mean, all you'd have to do is show someone a family, so the baby, the brother, the mum, and the granddad, and say, you know, this is the line that happens when you grow. We are superhuman. We are not even just human. We are the most advanced thing on this planet.
Yeah, man.
We can do everything that, you know, we see out there. So look at the cars that we drive, and look at the things that we've put up. Look at all this around here, these houses, these buildings, everything. We've put this up as humans. We are the most advanced thing. Probably not as advanced as you aliens, but you know, we can work together to make even more advanced things. So that's one thing I've noticed recently, is that humans themselves are we are superhuman. We can heal. You know what I mean? We can heal our bodies. We can dream. We can, you know what I mean? We can make whatever we want to make. So yeah, man, I'd show aliens a family and say, look, we can build, we can do this. And that would be my thing.
I love that.
Man.
That's a great answer, mate. I love that.
Thanks.
What's one sport that people enjoy that you think is ridiculous, bro?
That's a great question.
Mine's F1. Mine is F1. I can't stand how people just like, they'll sit by a sideline and watch a car go.
You know what? I'm up there with you on that. I mean, I love bikes, but even then, it's just they don't get any better than going around the track, do you? There's not anything else than that.
No.
But that or golf. I mean, it might be crazy golf's fun to play, but watching a game of golf for me is probably one of the most boring things you could ever do, because it's not flowing. It doesn't flow enough. It's very stop-starty. And unless you're at that game, I mean, what's the point, man?
It's funny you should say that, because golf has been one of the most said answers.
Ah.
All my guests have gone golf.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Apart from one, I think it might have been Lively, actually. He was like, I'm a golfer. And I'm like,
oh God.
Do you like F1, by the way? No, I don't like F1. Okay, all right. If you had a chance to explore under the sea or way into space, which would you choose?
Oh, probably up into space.
Yeah. You mentioned about flying and that, didn't you?
Yeah, there you go. I wanted to be a scientist and all of that.
Come on.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
yeah,
all
man.
right. What would be the title of your autobiography if you had to make people laugh?
Wow.
I'm going to say Natty by name, Natty by nature.
I like that, man. I like that. Yeah. Wanted, Dead or Alive.
Oh, that's wicked, mate.
Yeah. Wanted, Dead or Alive.
Why don't you call your next album that?
You know what?
Man?
I could, you know.
You should. And I'll have that little nod go, yeah, man, we talked about that on the podcast. There's a little exclusive for you.
Yeah, man.
Maybe. Love that, mate. Love
wicked,
that.
Man.
What's the weirdest gift that you've ever received?
Oh, wow. I've received a photo frame, like a picture with a photo frame that I can't even remember what it had in it. I can't actually remember the photo, but the message it had in it was Tuesday book club or something. It's off my mate Zoe. So it's like a private little private joke we have going on. So every time we used to meet up at her house, and our other mate Lizzie, they'd come and bring some drinks, but the excuse that Lizzie would tell her kids was we're going to book club. It had nothing to do with books. We're just going for a smoke and a drink and whatever. But yeah, I think I've still got it at home, this random picture. Oh, I'll tell you what it is. It's a picture in a frame, and it's got, you know, them little signs you can put in your house, and you can like flick the letters and it'll make whatever word you want it to do. And it was like that, and it had book club on it. Really random though, that you can't put the picture anywhere because it doesn't really look good, but it's a sentimental thing, so I keep it in my drawer. So yeah, big up Zoe.
Yeah man, that's definitely random, bro.
Very random.
I'll take that one. Have you ever had an unexplained, I mean I don't know what you believe here, but an unexplained or paranormal experience?
Yeah man, I'm sure a lot of people have had this, because I hear a lot of people say they had this, but I've had sleep paralysis and I've had it many a times. I haven't had it for the past, I don't know how many years. I
don't know, like, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but is that where like you're lying in bed, but you can see yourself from a bird's eye view lying in bed?
No,
that's not that.
It's not that. It might be for some people, but sleep paralysis is me. It is what it is. It says so. You are paralyzed in an essence. So what'll happen is you'll think you're dreaming. You might even be dreaming, but you'll kind of try and move or shout out, but nothing will happen.
Serious?
And you're stuck.
That sounds mad, bro.
It's very, very scary, and you're stuck. Now, the last time I had it must have been about 22, 23, and I was with my ex at the time and was in bed, and I could sense it was coming on because I had this feeling go up my spine, and then all this crazy weird black shit out of nowhere just came, like coming down, almost like loads of things were like writing. It's really, really strange and random, but that's probably the most like paranormal kind of thing I've ever had happen to me. Like, I've never seen any ghosts.
It's like unexplainable, isn't it?
That's it, man. But sleep paralysis, man, it's a real thing.
Me and Monchi, because obviously we've travelled up and down motorways at silly o'clock, like for all them years. We were travelling down this like motorway. It was on between Shrewsbury and Telford. It was like 3 a.m, pitch black, and like I remember it crystal clear, man. I just happened, bear in mind with teetotal, I just happened to look to my left in this motorway, and there was just a woman stood there with a pushchair, and she was all grey, bro. Like, she was completely grey. The pushchair was grey, and she had this really solemn look on her face, and she was just stood beside this motorway at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And as I looked, I just seen her face. She was just looking at me, and she had a pushchair, but it looked like there was nothing in the pushchair, but she was just stood there, bro. And like the chills down my spine was crazy, man. We even took, like, I'm sure, I was like, turn around, need to go see if this woman's all right. No woman there, bro.
Wow.
But I seen it as clear as day. So I don't know, man. I can't explain that shit.
Wow, man,
I can't explain that shit, but it was a little bit scary, mate.
I can imagine, man.
Okay, do you have any hidden talents that not many people would know?
Not really. I mean, one thing that no one really knows, like this latest tune that I put out, I freestyled on it, which is the first tune I've actually, now when I say freestyle, I mean I'm completely off the top of the head. The second verse in it that goes double time, it's completely off the top of the head. That's one secret skill. I can freestyle a bit, but no, not as such. No, man, there's not a hidden skill. I can cook, but I don't think that's a secret. No, I can turn my. I tell you what, I do have one. I'm not very happy about. So my top lip, I can turn inside out.
Come on,
you're not gonna make me do it now, are you?
Nah, you're all right. Don't worry, man. I'll take your word on that one. You don't have to show me.
Cheers,
it's all good.
bro.
What's the most embarrassing thing that a guest has ever done in your house?
Bloody hell.
Listen to this one. MC Lively told me, right? MC Lively told me that he had his wife, Mrs. Lively, who's with him now, like her best mate. He woke up one night and she was sucking his big toe.
What?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Sucking his big toe, like.
Freaky.
Trust me. And, yeah. And he said he's had guests like take a piss in his house and take a shit in his house and stuff like that in random places.
Oh, man.
He used to get up to some wild house parties, as you can imagine, living the hardcore MC life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, as far as I can remember, not too much has been.
Have your guests been quite respectful of your house?
Yeah? Most of the time they have. I mean, I've been to a few like say like. Well, parties, but then the morning after there hasn't been anyone there, or someone's left and someone's decided to use the toilet in the kitchen, stuff like that. But luckily, touch wood, I've never had anything untoward happen in my own house. Thank God for that.
One of Munchie's old mates, Tom Langford, big up Tom. He used to have this thing years ago. He used to take a shit in random places, and like we used to go down to Munchie used to go down to the White House with Tom Langford. This is a pub in Muxton in Telford, and yeah, man, there was like a little pot with a lid that used to be on the fireplace in the pub, and man, Tom took a shit in this pot and just left it there for fucking months, mate. This shit in this pot in the middle of the pub, like, you know what I mean? And they just didn't even know. Crazy. So, if you could instantly master any language, which would it be?
Wow, great question.
So many of my guests have said China or Korean. I don't know why, they just followed that trend, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was close to saying something like Cantonese or like Japanese, and I think the main reason why people go to that is because I think firstly because when you can't write Japanese or Chinese down without it being calligraphy, so that in itself will be a master to learn. And also when you're talking it's very phonetic, so it's like it's always like ow, and like certain things you have to say in a way rather than just saying ow, you know what I mean? It's the way you say it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to. I tell you what, I want to learn Portuguese. That's because I've been to Brazil years ago. I went to Brazil and I just love it. I just love Brazil. So I'd want to learn Portuguese, man. And I tried to learn a bit. It's easy enough, so I think why not, man? You could do it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And finally then, mate, what do you hope my listeners take away from this podcast?
Well, I hope the listeners can take away some advice regarding mental health. I hope they can take some advice regarding music and being on the right path, and as we spoke about earlier, not knowing what you want to do in life is okay. Not knowing what your role is in life is absolutely fine. It's just don't worry too much about it. Just make sure you keep yourself happy and stuff like that. And also I want a lot of people to know that still 10 years down the line, I'm still grafting away. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm in a position where I'm happy. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to be higher where they think they are, but essentially I just want people to know that it doesn't matter what level you are at, whether it's music, whether it's art, you are an artist or you are a creative, man, and everyone needs that. So yeah, man, if you're struggling and thinking I don't know what I want to do in my life, just don't worry, man. It will come to you, man. That's what I hope the listeners have got from this, man.
Love that, man. Love that. Sterling advice, bro.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. So I just want to say thank you so much, Natty D, for joining me in the hot seat and the Dribbz Talks podcast. Have you enjoyed it, bro?
Big up, Dribbz. I've loved it, mate. I've honestly loved it. Thank you so much for having me on, man.
I like to dig deep, man, and there's podcasts out there where they just hit record and they just go for it. Like mine are kind of more interview styles, but I like to do my research on, the artist and just show that, I'm interested in their story rather than just being pure content, what I mean?
Yeah, man, I felt that, bro. I have felt that.
That's good then. I'm glad you have, bro. So all the usual guys, make sure you subscribe, give it a like. You don't realise just by tapping like on these podcasts, we're all trying to fight these algorithms, man. It's an ongoing thing, but just give it a like and a share, man. I'd really appreciate that. And thank you to all my listeners that have joined me from the hip hop to the drum and bass and now the podcast, because as I say always, you guys are the real ones. So this has been Dribbz Talks Podcast. Have a blessed day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dribbz Talks Podcast. We're bringing it to you real, raw and uncut. A safe place where we can talk about anything and everything. So like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, keep it locked. Everything's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just take one step at a time. That's what the leaflets say.